So we could be looking at the exhibits.
All right, we're on the air.
All right. I'm calling to order the zoning board of adjustment meeting for March 18th, 2025 at 7:37 PM. Call to order and statement of compliance. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting a copy of the public meeting dates on the municipal bulletin board, by sending a copy to the Echo Sentinel, and by filing a copy with the municipal clerk. Standard board procedures. Any meetings conducted by the board is a quasi-judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to a judicial meeting must be maintained at all times. Meeting cutoff. Announcement is made that as a matter of procedure, it is the intention of the zoning board of adjustment not to continue any matter past 10:30 PM in a regular or special meeting of the board unless a motion is passed by the members then present to extend the meeting to a later specified cutoff time. Electronic devices. All in attendance are asked to mute cell phones or any electronic devices as to not interrupt the proceeding. Okay, everybody take out their phone and put it on vibrate. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. Tom, would you lead us, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Now, we have reappointees, Alex Zadrozny and Paul White. Alex, you've moved up to regular member. Congratulations. And Paul, you've moved up to alternate number 1. You guys are really,
Moving it.
I tell you, must be all that good work you're doing.
And just a note for the record, we also have Randy Watts, who's now official.
Yes, yes, and Randy has now been officially moved up to a regular member. And we're still in need of an alternate number 2. Anybody out there who wants to volunteer? It seems like it's hard to get people. Roll call.
Yes. Mr. Aronio.
Here.
Mr. Giannakis.
Here.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Here.
Mr. Watts.
Here.
Mr. Zadrozny.
Here.
Mr. White.
Here.
Vice Chairman Grosskopf.
Here.
Chairman Garrett.
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, we have meeting minutes. I know you guys have just seen them, but do I have consensus if you want to just take a second and look through them? There's really nothing of any major, shouldn't be any major changes. We can address them tonight. If somebody has a concern, let me know. I'd rather get them done tonight than wait. I had a chance to look them over. They're always well done. Yeah. And just take a minute or two and look them over. Oh, we have. Yeah, yes, yes, yeah, we have that many. But they're short. Yeah, I know. I know that.
Well, we have 2 and 2? 2 resolutions as well?
Yeah. All right, has everybody had a chance to look them over? They're relatively short. Anyone need more time? Okay. Yeah, let's start with October 1st, 2024. Now, the excused people are Tom Grokoff, Jessica Brennan, who's not here, Jonathan Rosenberg, Randall Whites, and Elizabeth Leahy. Well, she doesn't vote, so it's just, so,
I'll move those minutes from October 1, 24.
okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
But you can't second, you were excused.
I wasn't here.
Gary, you want a second? Okay. All right, yeah, what? All in favor, the people that can vote? Aye.
And Deb will get, with all of them, Deb will get all the extensions.
Yeah. And now we've got the October 15th minutes. The excused people were Jerry Aronio, Jessica, and Gary, and Tom Flatley. So the only 2 people are still here, Jerry and Gary. Do I hear a motion to move the October 15th minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
November 26th, the excused, well, she's not here, so everyone here is not excused. Do I hear a motion to move the November 26th, 2024 minutes?
November 26th.
Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, now we've got the next ones, December 17th. All right, so Jonathan, you're the only person that's still here that's excused. Do I hear a motion to move the December 17th minutes?
I'll move it.
Okay, second?
I'll
Okay.
second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye, come
Aye.
on, say aye at
Aye,
least,
aye.
come on. January 21st, the excused Randy Watts. Okay, everyone except Randy, do I hear a motion to move those minutes?
I'll move them for January 22nd.
Okay. Do I hear a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, good, that was a good aye. All right, February 18th, we've got the excused is Gary. I don't, where's March 4th?
Last page.
I don't have March in here yet.
No, oh, you had it on here. Okay, you had it on the
I had it on
agenda.
the agenda.
Oh,
but
okay,
I
that's what I
got
thought,
February
okay.
18th.
Yeah, you're
February
full,
18th, the last one?
Yes.
yeah,
so
February
March
18th is the last one.
So
we
March
have
4th
February
and then
18th,
March
we
18th,
have-
you'll get the next one.
Okay. What was that?
We have February 18th, right?
Yes, but we don't have the March 4th, that's what
Oh, okay.
I was confused there. All right, so February 18th, the only excused person was Gary. Do I have someone to move that?
I'll move it. So
Okay.
moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we moved the minutes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We have a resolution too, right?
Okay.
Two resolutions.
We could do the
Let's-
resolutions after the hearing.
Yeah, let's do the resolutions after. Let's get these people moving here. So, because they're a little bit more complicated. All righty. Okay. Now, we are continuing your application. As I recall, your last witness was your planner, and we were pretty much done with him.
So Chairman,
Okay.
yeah, we did close the questioning of the planner, so I think
Yes.
we're at the,
Well, I just want to make sure, is there any other witnesses or any other thing that you want
I
to?
don't think the board questioned the planner, did we? No, we did not.
I don't think we did,
No,
no,
we did
and you
not.
didn't bring them, did you?
He presented, but we didn't get the
Yeah.
question. I had questions for him, and we didn't.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because I remember we didn't have time, because it was 11 o'clock by the time he finished his main testimony.
Going to be on his way here shortly.
Okay.
We do have some testimony.
All right, you can put
to see where we're at.
the interim would you lower that mic and talk into it? Lower, you can lower that. Unscrew the base and lower it, the little thing in the middle? Yeah, just unscrew it and lower it a little bit.
we're gonna have to caution, Mr. Chairman, if we're allowing
Okay.
attorneys to work equipment.
Yeah, I know. Let me see your certification. All right,
Richard Skolnick, from my own law firm, here on behalf.
no, I mean to operate the mic.
No, that's okay, that's okay.
I'm
Just
teasing.
ignored it.
We're-
It went
we're-
on.
We're not gonna voir dire you for that.
We're having a good, well, it's always good to have a little fun. Okay, why don't you move ahead with your other witnesses, dealing with other issues. As soon as the planner gets here, we'll commence with his questioning.
We're not sure, but we're going to do our best to
Okay,
move forward
fine.
as much as we can.
Yeah, because I thought you realized that we really weren't done with the planner. The planner was done testifying, but we hadn't actually gotten any questions or things that we needed to possibly ask him.
All I can say, Chairman, is we understood sometimes planners are very busy.
Yes, yes. You have to make plans ahead of time with them, pun intended.
We respect the board's time.
Yeah.
We obviously.
And we respect your time.
We wanted to finish. He's trying to get here.
That's fine. I think we can-
We'll have to see what time.
We can continue with your other witnesses and then slot him in when he gets here.
We'll do our best. So, Chairman, just for the record, Richard Skolnick, I have my
Yes.
own law firm. I'm representing 1057 Valley RDRE LLC.
Okay.
Now the owner, they bought the property.
Okay.
And we originally applied for the contract purchases.
Yes.
They closed. We were here 2 weeks ago. You all recall.
Yes.
Before daylight savings time. We arrived in the dark. So we have the architect, who I'm going to recall, Mara. He's gonna talk about, the changes to the signage plan.
Okay.
We're able to accommodate a number of the items,
Good.
that, the board had suggested, the matting, the sort of the different style, the, removal of the internal illumination.
Okay.
And some other things, so he's gonna go through, that
Good.
with you. We're able to make a little bit of movement on the overhang.
Okay.
You had that, you can't remove it because it's a structural element, we took a lot of time, a
Okay.
lot of effort.
And let me explain the reasoning behind that. One, it was exceedingly large. Two, it would prohibit, in some way, snow plowing of that area. And it would also prohibit a fire truck to get to that side of the building if they had to, because of the massive base that was on those things. That there was the concern. And there's less of a fire load with a bank than there is a fast food place.
There's a structural element to it, we're able, and with their testimony and on profit, we're able to make a little movement in that direction.
Okay.
To make it a little bit wider, but, it cannot be removed as it's a structural element. We'll
Okay.
go through that. But
Okay.
You can be assured, we took a close look at that. After that's over, I'm gonna call, the civil engineer. We had a lot of discussion about signage, and the vehicles, and, we put forward a plan that we sent over to Mr. Jar's office. His colleague, is here tonight.
Okay.
And, we hope that we can, we've made, a reasonable movement in that direction to control, some
Movement, yeah.
difficulties that, could be out there, so.
Okay.
I'll go through those two witnesses, we'll try to get a check on where Mr. McDonough is.
Okay.
That's-
Sounds good.
That's what I could do.
Okay.
in
That's
under the
fine. Sounds good.
circumstances, Tonight, so, Mr. Remar, you understand you're still under oath? Steve, is it your practice to re-swear the?
That doesn't have to re-swear, just could
Your
reconfirm for us that your license remains in good standing so the board can continue
Right.
to accept you.
Yes.
Okay.
If I can, I do want to clarify something you said before you started, and I don't want to delay you anymore. Did you say that you were under contract and now you're actually closed? Did that happen in between our last meeting and now?
It happened
No.
before.
Yeah, it
No,
was
it
before.
happened
Okay.
before, I actually sent something in, I think you, no, before we got started.
Okay,
Between filing the application, we were contract purchasers.
right,
With the bank.
right.
My client closed on the deal, I had to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
before the last hearing, correct?
Before the last.
Okay.
year, I did
Okay.
send a little note in to the board to say the
Okay.
ownership had changed.
Just want to clarify, that's all.
Absolutely.
All good standing as a contract purchaser, certainly standing as an owner.
Right.
So we're gonna, hand these around. The last exhibit from 2 weeks ago was A3. So these are gonna be marked as A4. I'm looking for that, A4 and A5.
Which one do you want me to mark first?
It doesn't matter, does it?
The,
Mark that.
We marked them, the elevation with the signs.
Okay,
A4.
A4.
Okay.
And we'll give you the date on that.
Take one, pass it down.
Yes, please.
Yours, I mean,
What's that? Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just-
Is this all the signage that's going to be on the building?
Yes.
There's
I
no,
may begin, I don't know if I'm.
there's no menu board anymore, is that correct?
So, there is a menu board, but the menu board is not on the building. The menu board is on site.
Can you take the microphone?
Yeah, you need, unfortunately, I'm sorry, we only have the one mic.
The menu
I-
board is a sign? Right?
Hold on a second.
Maybe we should let them
Yeah,
testify.
let him testify first and then we'll. Go ahead. You can explain, is it working? Deb,
I'm sorry. Let's see.
give it to her, she knows.
Yeah.
She's an expert.
I don't know about that.
I took it to the damn school board, they always run the batteries out.
I know, those damn.
And then it would bring it to stop it. So let's put it in there.
They have to be schooled.
I do.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, while we're waiting, I'm going to swear in Mr. Jar, because I believe Mr. Jar was here last
Right.
week. If you'll raise your right hand, do you swear to God or affirm testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Everybody
you.
else is already sworn. Thank you.
Thank you for catching that.
Well, I thank council for catching it.
And noting for the record that Mr. Zadrozny has certified that he watched the previous hearing, so he's eligible to vote in this hearing.
Yes,
Thank you,
and I signed that certification. for him.
All 3 hours.
All 3 hours. All right.
It certainly made you certifiable.
Yeah, if not sleepy. All right. It's working now? All right, it's working.
It's a well-oiled machine, let's go.
Oh, no, she said that.
So I'll continue with my testimony from last time. Talking about the elevations, so to answer the question, and I'll go through the signage.
A4, correct?
This is A4, which is A00.3, and the revision date is March 17th, 2025.
And its elevations?
And it's elevations plus signage of the building at the bottom of the sheet.
All right, as a heading.
You got it. So what we're showing is the 4 elevations of the building. The elevation, the south elevation, which is the elevation of the entrance for the patrons of the restaurant, still has the same cameo, which is the logo for Wendy's on top. And then the north elevation facing Valley Road still has the word Wendy's. And east elevation, same thing, the logo. And then the west elevation, which I'm going to show you a couple of pictures on A5 in a second, on Exhibit A5, we replaced the word Made Fresh, or we moved Made Fresh to order closer to the drive-through window and replaced it with the cameo, or the Wendy's logo in this location. Part of this decision is because, and I'm going to refer to A5, is that as you're driving, this is A5 is E-01 under the civil engineer's title block. Yes, it's March 17th, 2025, and it's the revision per the hearing. And on the bottom right
Please just give
photo,
the title. Does it have a title on it?
exhibit site photos.
Exhibit site photos, thank you.
Yes. And at the bottom right of this exhibit, you'll see the view driving south on Valley Road. And this is basically one of the most exposed facades or elevations of the building. There is trees and landscaping around the building as you drive around the building all along Valley Road and along Plainfield. And in a car, as you're driving, you're not really going to see a lot of this, especially in the summertime when all the trees are the leaves on the trees. So as we look at it, and we drove by it and looked at it on Google Earth as well, this was one of the more exposed facades here, and we wanted to get something on the building here to represent, to say what the building is and represent it. So this is that view right here that we're seeing on A4, and I'm going to go back to A4.
That's where you put the Wendy's.
That's where we put the Wendy's.
Let's talk about the back, the internal illumination that's been removed
Sure.
now.
So yes. So the other thing is, none of these signs are internally illuminated. They're all going to be PVC routed. Basically, simple non-metallic finish, very similar to what you see on Taco Bell. We're trying to match the same signage types.
How are they going to be lit?
They're going to be uplit exactly the same way that the PNC bank signs were uplit. We're probably going to use the same infrastructure and replace the lights so that they're going to be lit the same way. I do want to mention the signs. We tallied all the signage with a total now, including the menu stands. So we have 2 menu stands, and it's also on the bottom of A4. Bottom right, you'll see a single menu board and a triple menu board elevations. The triple menu board is the actual menu board that you order at, and The single menu board is a precursor, if you will, to the menu board that has the pre-sale items. As you're waiting online, you can see those, and then you go up to the menu board with your car, and that's where you order from. So these two are of the building, as well as the freestanding sign, which is the monument sign on Valley Road. These three signs are not on the building. Everything else that you see is on the building.
Where's the positioning of the single and triple menu boards? Where are they positioned along that route?
I'm going to refer now to Exhibit A6, and the title of that is Exhibit Plan, same revision date, 3/17/25. And this specific exhibit shows the menu boards on the south side, the west side of the building. It's along Plainfield. So as you're driving up the drive-through here, this is where the two menu boards are. So you come in from the site, you drive up the drive-through, the two menu boards are here, this is where you order, and then you drive around to pick up your food on this side and then leave the site.
So you understand where they are, Ed?
Yeah, I was trying to
So
find out.
you had indicated where you put the made fresh sign, that you moved it because you thought that the west side was the most visible side. Do you think the side on Plainfield is more visible or less visible than the west side? Where the menu boards are,
Right, so I think those are going to be less visible than the west side.
but there's no road on the west side.
No, there's no road, but there is a gap, and in the image, I'm just going to go back to that. 1 second. There's a gap in the landscaping right here,
Yeah.
and as you're driving up, that's the first thing you're going to see on the building. And this is sort of a long stretch of brick, unidentified, and it would be nice, very nice to have something here to tell you what this building is. Now, as you go past it, past this point, you're already in a car. It's going to be too fast for you to see anything here. You'll see this view, though, coming on the other direction from on Valley Road or down Plainfield. And then the buildings be to your right. But keep in mind that all these photos are taken with no leaves on the tree. If first, just like, we did it simply in Google Earth, and just if you walk around in Google Earth, you'll see that with all the tree canopies flowering and all the leaves on them, this is not actually a very simple thing to see when you're driving, again, north on Valley Road or east on Plainfield.
Plainfield.
So you're
Oh,
saying
north.
for like half of the year, we'll be able to see it, and half of the year we will not?
You'll be able to see if you are maybe at the light, right? If you're stopped at the light.
For leaves on the tree, it's just that sometimes it's going to be visible.
Sometimes it's going to be visible, sometimes not. If you're at the light, stopped at the light, you'll be able to take a second and look. But if you're driving by, it's not going to be as easy to see. And this is part of why this long stretch here was a very good moment for us to put something there. And we had the Made Fresh there, but that wasn't a sign that would, you'd recognize the brand quickly by seeing it, so you'd recognize better to see the Wendy's logo.
Thank you.
Up here, we're still looking for EO6.
You don't have that in your packet.
That's A6. A6.
It's
No, the
A6.
one that you were showing me where the signs were.
Yeah, that's.
This
that's
is
only
this
up
is
there.
this is
This is a new exhibit.
Oh,
this
you
is
don't have
A6.
copies
This
of it?
Okay. And we don't get to see it.
we don't have copies for this one, no. But this was emailed on yesterday. I don't know if that was
I can't give them copies.
okay. Sure.
Okay, all right, that's, no one was going nuts trying to find it.
But this is the same site plan as previously submitted. We just added more signage just to locate them.
Okay.
And the menu boards did not change location. They're in the
Oh,
same
okay.
location.
All right, okay.
Yeah, they're the same location as last time.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, is the square footage of the total square footage of all wall signs still 95 square feet versus 25 square feet maximum permitted?
So
No.
this is
76, no, 78.
so the 178, the new total now. We've included in it the freestanding sign, which is the monument sign. We've also included the single menu board and the triple menu board.
That's all the signage.
That's all the signs, though.
That's now, that now includes all the signs
Yeah.
on the building
Here's
and off
what
the
I'm
building.
asking you. The variance is, one of the variances for the area of wall signs. What is the total area of wall signs, not freestanding and wall combined?
I can give you that.
Wall.
245.26.
I'm sorry, how much?
245.26.
That's more than
The
the total.
total, the
No.
total's not accommodating the 3 times 65.
No, it's not 3 times 65. It's 65
Oh, in total?
in total.
Oh, okay. Well, then, back
So
up.
I'll tell you what that is in a
I'll wait
second.
till we come to a consensus.
We're still missing signs.
115.26.
11526.
Okay.
Okay, so now the relief sought with respect to area of wall signs, 115.26 versus 25 square
Counselor?
feet maximum permitted, correct?
Correct.
Counsel.
Thank you.
I do believe, if these are all the signs that you're representing that you're going to be putting on your property, you're still missing the sign that says, no trailers, right turn only.
It wouldn't be a wall sign.
That would be a
Those-
wall.
those
But
are
it
not-
was- But you also had the freestanding. signs.
But those, so what I'm representing today are the signs on the wall and the menu board and the monument board, everything to do with the branding of the building
You're
and
not,
the
you're not
site.
including non-branded signs.
Non-branded signs and directional signage, which is basically what you're referring to, are on the site plan, and I don't believe those are included in the calculation.
Thank you.
Or should be included in the calculation, I should say.
Fine.
I was confused. Thank you.
Okay, so,
Do you have a sign that says drive-through with an arrow to
So-
tell people where the drive-through starts?
Yes, so what we have here
Where's that position?
on this site plan, which
we're on
it's,
A6 then.
we're back on A6. What we've done, which is in discussions with also we've met with the planner and engineer to discuss with them. We've taken all the comments and we've come back with something that we think makes sense here. So as you come in and today on site, when you're coming into the bank site, there is a sign for PNC Bank says enter here, and then right on site there is a drive-through sign that tells you to go right or park to go left. And what we have is we do have indoor dining pickup window that tells you to go this way. The sign is right here. It tells you to go this way. Or drive-through that tells you to go up.
Okay, so there is a.
So now we do have this identifier here that says if you're picking up or dining in, you're going this way. Drive-through, you're going this way. That's one thing one sign. The other sign that we do have is a no trucks sign, which is at the beginning of the site right here. It says no trucks allowed.
How about trailers? We wanted something that said no trailers.
We can do that,
Yeah.
Chairman.
I think the main problem was trucks with trailers and large trucks.
So what in putting no trucks, we assumed that this would cover buses and everything else.
What about a car with a trailer?
But so we're happy to make it no trucks or trailers on site
Yeah,
on
see
premises.
that we were concerned with the ability to circumvent that, to navigate the drive-through.
Drive-through with a trailer.
Which could be on a car.
Right.
So,
We can-
that's why.
We can certainly
Even to
certainly do that.
enter the lot with a trailer, there's no
Yeah,
way. to
exactly,
park in front of it.
exactly, yeah.
You can't even go
So,
on.
yeah, you have to change that to trailer.
And I also want to mention as I'm going through this, so there's the crash bar here also, which is at 9 feet.
Okay.
And on the crash bar, there's a sign that says no oversized vehicles beyond this point.
Fine.
So that's
Okay.
That
But
was-
I mean, trailers can be smaller, but they.
and that's why I'm happy to amend the no trucks allowed to say no trucks or trailers allowed on premises.
Sounds good.
We can do that.
We're certainly aware of the board's concerns.
Yeah. Well, it's not just our concern, it's that we don't want a problem in the future with people getting jammed up in the parking lot or getting stuck in the
Correct.
drive-through
I
lane.
think this is why we have these boards, because
Yeah.
we bring the local concern.
Right.
about the folks.
Well, it's also the way the lot is configured, the configuration of that.
And today there is a one-way sign right here,
Good.
pointing in the direction of the drive-through, and that sign will remain there. The do not enter on here will remain here. There's a stop sign, which will be here, which will also remain.
Good.
The stop bar is right here, and that is marked. And then we're also marking the crosswalk right here at 5 feet for people parking on this side to cross. As agreed, also there's a proposed 5-foot sidewalk right here, concrete sidewalk for the accessible spaces. As you park, you get on there and you walk up.
Anyone else see this?
Ahmed, if you would,
Yes.
Chairman, what we would think, again, if the board is amenable, this is a proposal.
Yeah.
And often there's a condition, the exact wording.
Right.
I know,
Sign
of course, of
to
course.
Yeah.
proceed,
That,
right? Because
exactly, yes.
I don't think there would be, but if there's a dispute, we can't agree. We can always come back
Obviously,
to the
we
board,
don't,
Whether it's trucks or trailers or what's appropriate.
we understand that. We're going to allow our planner and engineer respectively to work out minor little details. That's fine.
That's what
We always do
it
that.
wasn't intended.
Yeah.
We put it out there, here's a starting
Yeah,
point. let's
no,
see how
we
it
understand
goes.
that. We're,
That's-
we don't make you come back for a little change in
We
wording.
want to make the site safe also. It needs to be safe and operate.
Right.
And you brought
Yeah.
up local concern that there are going to be some local landscapers who could either park somewhere else
Sure.
or be disappointed they're not going to get their way.
I know, yeah.
I got to find another spot to park and get over there somehow.
Yeah. Whoops.
But I cut you off there, you were going through.
Yeah.
This is obviously a more robust signage package.
Yes.
There's obviously flexibility to finalize it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Just for
Is there, if there's flexibility, is there any, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Let's, please.
Oh, if there's flexibility, is there any possibility of not having two menu boards or any menu boards?
For a drive-through, you would require a menu board.
Now, how would people know what to order?
App,
Well, what?
use the app.
I mean, the menu boards are right on Plainfield Road, so, and they're going to be visible.
I mean, we're happy to, so what we did is also, we're adding landscaping here. These are all shrubs that are proposed along this frontage here. And we're happy to have taller plants if that's a concern. That shouldn't be a problem.
Well, yeah, I have a concern of how visible the menu boards are. That's why I asked if they could be eliminated, if you're flexible.
It's part of the functionality of the building. This is how
Well, there's
drive-through
restaurants out
Wendy's
there
works.
that
I'm
don't
sorry?
have menu boards. There are restaurants that don't have menu boards, right?
I'm sure there are, but I know that Wendy's has menu boards for drive-through.
What
The
is the
site is zoned,
reason?
it could be a restaurant.
No, I understand. What is the reason for two menu boards?
One is a pre-sale that just shows you the offers that they have, and this next one is where you actually order. So as you're waiting, they have special offers or they have new menu elements or pieces on the menu. They'll show that, and then the next one is where you're looking at everything on the menu and you're ordering.
Will they be angled, or can they be angled in such a way that they're ideally optimally visible to those who are on site, but not necessarily those who are on Plainfield Road, the traversing motor vehicle public?
I mean, they will be angled for the people in the drive-through, but I understand the
I
concern.
don't think that's possible.
But I understand the concern. Even if they're angled, you're still going to see them if you're up on Plainfield, if there is no landscaping, and that's why I'm suggesting we can have taller plantings here, so along this area to hide that if that's a concern.
We already
There's no
have a
intent that
condition
maybe-
we already have a condition of additional landscaping, so are you stipulating also the supplemental landscaping for the purpose of, within
Shielding the
reason,
signs.
screening the menu board, subject to the review?
Yes, sir, I
of
am.
our
Yes, I am.
planner and engine, well, planner probably, but.
Yes, I am.
How tall are the menu boards?
Yes.
The menu boards are 6.5 feet or 6 feet.
So
6 feet.
Would the
Yeah.
screening be 6 feet then?
Are you, what's the width, height of the, 6 feet is what? The
That
height,
I'm
width?
referring back to Exhibit A4. On the bottom right of the exhibit, it shows it's the main menu board, the triple menu board, is 7 feet wide by 6 feet tall, and the single menu board, which is the precursor, is 2 feet 4 inches wide by, again, 6 feet tall.
And are these electronic? Do they backlit? How are they?
They're electronic, so the screen itself is lit.
Like a
It's like a
TV
TV,
screen?
exactly, sir. Yeah,
Oh, no.
And what happens with those after hours? Are they turned off?
yeah, they are.
Can they be not backlit?
It's a TV, so it's not really backlit. It's illuminated within the
screen, it's an
system.
LED
Yeah.
The other signs on the building were previously, internally illuminated.
Right.
And you came back with a revision because you heard our concerns.
Correct.
So I think you're hearing other concerns about the lighting of the menu boards, so why couldn't they be?
Because that's a TV. If you don't illuminate it, it's just turned off. The other signs were signs that were on the building, eternally illuminated. Those we could replace. And if I may, that's the same exact condition at Taco Bell right now. The signs on the building are all externally illuminated. They're not internally anymore.
I'm just gonna make a
But
statement right
yes,
now.
sir.
Taco Bell was approved as not a precedent setter, okay? So you guys keep referring to that, and I take exception to that.
Hmm.
Because your planner did it 20-some times, and I'm not telling you not to do it, but that's a different spot, okay? It's tucked back in, it's off the road.
You can't
deep
see the
off
menu
road.
boards, can you?
This is a very prominent spot that we're talking about on two main roads in our town that intersect in an evolving town square.
Okay.
Town center, okay? So that's an emerging town center that we're planning for the future. So the conditions are a lot different. So there's no comparison really, in my eyes, anyway.
Sure, no,
You
no.
can do whatever you want
Yeah,
with your
yeah, yeah.
presentation.
I understand, and I'm not setting a precedent by saying they have a menu board, so you should allow them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm explaining is basically just giving you a reference to what the menu board looks like versus the rest signage on the building, because we're talking about internally illuminated versus externally illuminated. So all the signs on the building will be externally illuminated, so they're not, if you turn off the lights, they're not really visible anymore. But the menu board is a TV basically, so if there's no illumination, it's off. So then you won't be able to see anything on it. That's the yeah, and that's the reference I'm making. Of course, yeah.
I understand the concern about visibility. It's not meant to be an advertisement.
No, certainly not. Yes.
Can you talk about where we could do a tree line, a substantial tree line to at least address that? We could certainly plant trees that are 6 feet tall.
So we do, yeah.
And where is that, and would we have a reasonable amount of screening for that to address the board's concern about how that's going to look at the prominent intersection?
Sir, sure, certainly. So to mention, we are adding 9. So there's 8 here, and then one more 9, 2 to 3 feet high, basically shrubs. But we are able to add in this location here, because this is where I think you would see it, driving up Plainfield. In this location, we can turn these into taller trees. If that reflection, if that's the concern here, we can certainly do that. Yeah.
Could we work either, at some point in terms of the spacing of the trees to make sure?
Of course,
those types
certainly,
of
yeah.
Shrubs that after a year or two, they sort of run together. Or look
Yeah,
like a little
certainly,
bit.
yes.
There's no intent here to use this as another means of advertising. It's
No,
just the
no,
functionality
absolutely
that's
not.
provided here.
Correct. It's only for the functionality of what the use is. That's all it is.
So you think at the end, we could at least plant 6 to 8 footers and then discuss what's going to be a reasonable size?
And I can yeah, and I can also say that we can work with the planner and engineer on the location of those. We can pick 2 locations, which I think is probably here and maybe here as you're driving up that line of sight, and we can plant taller trees in those locations to shield that view.
For all 12 months, or just for 6 of the months? Or would they be evergreens, or would they be trees that don't have
We're
leaves?
open to both. We could do something where you can have them. I mean, yeah, I'm happy to. We understand the concern and we want to accommodate. There's no
My
disagreement.
concern is, why is it the need for 2 boards? Why do you need one to say you have specials and one for the menu? Can't the menu boards serve as both?
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Which is why we can't.
Right. Especially when it's a sunny day.
No, the drive, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I just wanted to understand a little bit from the operation team what it does. So there's 2 things here.
Guys, listen.
So there are 2 things here. It's part of saving time also on the drive-through because you're seeing what you want to order in advance. And the other thing is,
Understand that with the menu board, but why do you need two?
but that was the second part. But again, as in discussion with them, we're happy to remove the first one if that's something that's gonna.
I would say it would
understand
lessen
that,
the
yeah.
impact. I
Yes.
mean, how does everybody think? If you remove at least,
We can.
yeah, the lesser the better, right? Okay.
That's what I was basically asking.
yeah.
If we can still function, that's the question I was asking. If we
I
can
mean,
still
you can always
function
make that
without.
one board dual purpose by having part of it flash a different message, you
Yeah,
know, or.
I mean, I think that's why I was asking the question. If we can still function
Not
using
flat,
the
but, you know, have a
triple,
different
I know exactly what you mean. Like maybe rotation on the screen or something of the
yes,
different.
yeah.
If as long as we can make it work with the function of it, that's not a problem.
In fact, it might help the flow because somebody's not stopping to read a first board and, you know, they're moving.
Yeah, it's usually only when you're online. If there's during peak hours when you're actually waiting, that's when you look at it. But if you're on there and there's no person, there's nobody, you're not going to stop there. You're
Most people
going
already got
there.
it on their app.
Or they already know what they want. I don't disagree.
I mean,
Yes.
nowadays, everybody's got pre-ordered.
I mean, it's also, yeah, you also know if you go to Wendy's, you also kind of know what you want unless
Exactly.
you're getting something
That's what
different
I'm
this
saying.
time. I'm sorry, every
Yeah,
time you keep.
That's okay. Mr. Amara?
MRI, yes.
Do they have the ability to put some sort of screen maybe over the menu boards, like a
Like above it this way, like a
well,
canopy or something?
So what I'm thinking is like traffic lights that you
Right.
can't really see unless you're like at a specific angle, or like a cell phone security screen, like a clear filter type thing.
I don't know the answer to that question, but this is something that we can work with the team.
Because that
Sure.
way, if you're
To my
driving,
knowledge, most television screens have that ability already, or if you go and look at a side of a flat screen TV, you almost can't see the picture. So I would say that even without trying, you're gonna have that effect.
I mean, I'm aware of like,
yeah, you get what I'm trying to.
I get what you're trying to say. I also understand, your point as well, which is why I'm working with.
Sure.
I get it. At the end of the day, the point is, it's not about when you're there what you're looking at. It's about when you're on the street, if it's something reflect. Which is why I'm saying the trees, and if we could do something with the size of the boards, where it's not, if the illumination isn't going to the sides or the top or something like that, certainly, yes.
Sure, yeah, and that way, maybe you guys get what you want, and then you see the signs as prevalent.
Well,
in
the
plain
one
field
sign
as
now,
all
we're
that.
down to one sign. But the nice thing about, I mean, I'm sure with the working on the angle and some, blinders, I guess, or some way
Yes.
of keeping that illumination closer to the location where the people see it.
Yes, yes.
See, our concern is what spills out over the property line, basically.
Certainly, yes.
And part of that is lighting, part of that is the signage, part of that is just the presence of the building. Keeping it mostly between, on your premises is our.
It's even I understand that, and even less than just you don't even want it to go all the way to the property line, which I also understand. Like
Right.
you want it to be within the vicinity where you're ordering, and that's what you're seeing.
Anything within that property. And we try to keep, most people that, commercial properties, we try to keep it contained within the property. So it doesn't illuminate or doesn't affect outside the property.
We're gonna take a break at some point, so we're
Yeah.
gonna talk to the operator, see if we have that ready solution here for you tonight.
That's fine. I mean, I
And then
think
we'll
something
make-
like that, you could work with the engineer.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
our,
appreciate
yeah.
that. Every board is different. I
Yes.
understand.
We have great faith in our experts.
We appreciate that. It doesn't always happen.
I have another question, and this is about the audio from that ordering system.
Right.
What about that, and how far does that sound carry?
I testified to that also in last meeting. I certainly understand the volume concern. We will comply with the city's volume, and it won't be exceeding anything outside. It's basically made just for the person in the car to hear the menu, the person inside speaking to
And
them.
pretty much, the speaker is next to the car, basically.
The speaker is basically within the menu board.
Right,
It's
but
in
that's
it,
gonna be close enough to
and
the
it's
car.
exactly.
Mr. Aaron, have you been to the McDonald's on 22 in Scotch Plains? by any chance?
I think when I was like 8 or 9 years old is the last time I was there. I'm not kidding.
That
was about 10 years
No,
ago.
high school, I'm sorry.
That has what the chairman referred to. The speaker really comes right, it's very close to your window
Okay.
to make it. So I would assume, I know for sure, but they're thinking about that. a
Yeah,
little bit,
good.
of course.
That's great.
You're in your car, your window goes down, and the speaker is really about 2 feet away, coming.
So you don't need a loudspeaker.
Right out. That's how the McDonald's on 22 down Scotch Plains.
That sounds good, yeah, I'll go check it out.
Where I never stop.
No, of course not.
Well, wait.
I'm not joking, it's been, I was, last I was there was high school, I lied.
I gotta go.
That's an old McDonald's. That's been a while.
Yeah.
And I'm saying from my point of view too.
I got a couple of questions. On the signage, going back to the signs, so the one directional sign, the one two up there, the directional, yeah. Is that a Wendy's logo on the top of it?
Yes.
Is that not considered, as a sign then?
No, I don't believe so. I believe this is just a
What
directional.
is that? The Wendy's, what does that sign say? I can't read it from here.
This?
Yeah.
Indoor dining and pickup window, and then and it points up, and then it points to the right, and it says drive-through. And this
Okay.
would be, there's a sign, there used to be a sign for the bank that says,
That was my next question.
Did the bank sign
Drive-through.
have any bank logo on it?
yes.
It
Or
did.
it had the, I know the first one had the logo, the second one had the same colors and font.
All right.
Yeah.
It does.
But
It had PNC on it.
yes.
The end
But my
of-
main point is not about whether the logo is on it or not. I'm saying it's the location here, and as soon as you enter the site, it points this way to go to drive-through, or that way for pickup and
Question,
dining.
and I'm not saying you shouldn't, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, and I'll ask our professionals, do those qualify as signs if they have the logo on it, and do they need to be counted or not?
It's a good question, and I have to say the directional signage doesn't count towards the total site signage so long as there's no advertising on the sign.
Like just having Wendy's face on it.
So is the Wendy's space an advertisement? You might find that it is. I mean, maybe that you
I mean, the
could,
fact that and again, I'm not saying this because I have a feeling that you shouldn't have that there, but you did say you wanted to put the Wendy's logo on the west side
Right.
in a prominent place, and that logo is the exact same logo that's on the other signs. So it's obviously the brand, and we all know that's.
I don't disagree. It's the brand, but I believe that this one it won't be visible from outside the property. You're only going to see it if you're on the property, and it's really just for the experience on the property. For me.
And I'm not
the
saying you
adverti-
shouldn't have it there. I'm
Right.
just saying just to be.
No, but maybe to
for-
be safe, that shouldn't be included in the number for the
Yes.
variance.
And if that's sure, we can. That's something that we can.
Just to cover yourself.
or maybe, if it's possible, you can take the cameo.
We can.
And just use the two
It would
colors.
say the same.
Just the
Yeah,
color.
I mean, the
Yes.
colors are
Yeah.
your colors, so
Yeah.
it's similar to like with, as you said, the PNC signs are all
Right.
the PNC color.
Colors and font, and we can use
Yeah,
the same
fonts,
font and
as
colors,
opposed
but
to-
remove the actual
you don't
the
run into
logo
that
on it.
problem.
There you go.
Chairman,
Yes.
I hope you understand our good faith.
Oh, no, we do,
And
we
on
do.
the board, if the board says, hey, really bad idea, I'm gonna let.
It actually save a little money because the sign will be more neutral.
And I'm not trying to say I don't appreciate it.
And-
I'm
and
just
I
saying,
understand.
for in terms of.
And
what we
I
should be
understand,
doing here
and like just as the planner said, Miss Laney said, it's a good question.
And then my second question
I
is.
know, I mentioned
Guys,
that. They're just giving me a
Enough
sign,
of the
but
side talk.
I did mention the first one had the PNC logo, but the second
I know,
one had the font
I
in
can
it.
see it over here.
But
Mark that.
no, I explained it, but the point is well taken. Regardless of what it is, the point is now you're adding more logos inside. Can we just eliminate those and deal with the directional as just directionals?
Right.
And the
with
answer is
colors.
yes, we can
Any
certainly do
colors you
that.
want, Basically.
Yeah,
No, I'm not
and the answer is
teasing,
yes,
but,
well, certainly, because the point of it is to tell you where to go and what to do, and not really to look at
Yeah.
Wendy's face again. Yeah.
Exactly.
And my
And
second,
add another sign to the number.
yeah.
Right, that's,
Exactly.
We're sensing we're about where we want.
okay, good.
And no more.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Appreciate the good work.
And my second question on the west elevation, I remember last time you mentioned, I know there is a existing window, I guess it's EW1 on there, on the west elevation. What's that window going to be used for?
It's gonna remain. That's not gonna
No,
change.
what's it going to be used for in terms of the,
It's just for light and air. That's it. Within the space.
but does that look into the kitchen, or what is that?
It looks into the serving area, not exactly the kitchen. Yeah.
But it's not like a pay window, or?
No. The only window, which is this on the pickup window for the drive-through, and the other pickup window, which is right here for the mobile pickup orders.
Gotcha. Okay.
Those are the only orders or people will be interacting with.
Do we have, and I'm presuming it's not going to change any further, but do we have a confirmation now on 5 total wall signs still?
we have, as I was mentioning before, we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then if we're considering the delivery pickup order on top of the window assigned, then that's 6.
Okay, we're at 6?
That 6 made the 115.
Yes.
Okay, so then we're
Okay.
now, that's another, the variance that was 5 wall signs versus 1 is now 6 versus.
6 and
And
115.2.62,
do we still
yes.
have only 1 ground sign? We're
So
not counting direction.
when what we were counting,
And
well,
if they're taking the logos and making them
No.
just,
We have
The actual sign that says Wendy's.
it's still only
Correct.
1 ground sign, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
well, that's,
And the area of the
Oh.
ground sign,
well, so that depends,
Hold on, so
yes,
we have the monument sign,
Right.
that's on Valley, and then we have the
One
message
more.
boards.
right.
Menu boards.
Menu boards.
Menu
are the menu
Me-
boards?
Menu board, menu board,
Singular.
singular.
Menu board,
Is a ground
triple.
sign, correct?
menu.
correct.
So now we
The
have
triple,
2
exactly.
ground signs
The
in
triple
our
menu.
professional's interpretation? Or one?
Can you just
But it's-
hold on a second,
it's
because
considered
I would say it's,
While,
Yeah, the triple.
while our board professional is, a planner, excuse me, is looking into whether we have 1 ground sign or 2, we'll also have to confirm the area of the ground sign, so we have the right.
Right, so I will have to, yeah, because the calculation included the single menu board, which we've just agreed to eliminate. And then there's the freestanding, which is this one, which is what we had last time. And I believe Ms. Laney looking at whether the triple menu board is a sign or not. And that's the discussion right now, whether it's 2
Figure
or
out the
1.
number and the area in a moment.
Yes,
And then wall sign illumination has been eliminated as a deviation, correct?
correct.
Thank you. And appearance of sign carved, sandblasted wood, et cetera, that's still a deviation that's being
Yeah.
sought?
It's no longer a deviation. We're not doing the metallic finish. We will be doing a matte finish, which is going to be basically a plastic matte finish. Yeah, that's what I mentioned.
Liz, I know you're doing double duty while you're looking at the number and the signs to make that determination, but have they eliminated the need for the appearance of signs variance in your opinion?
sorry, can you?
Run that
The
past her
Yeah,
again.
appearance of sign variance requiring that it be carved or sandblasted, painted wood or foam that appears to be, et cetera, is that still an issue, or because they're matting it and what have you, have they eliminated the appearance of sign variance required?
I think that they have,
Have
yes.
eliminated,
They have eliminated it. They've
your
made an
professional
effort
opinion.
to comply.
okay?
How is that sign being lit? Is it gooseneck lights? How is it being lit? Underlit, meaning lights going up.
So not from the ground.
No,
There's
out.
there's lights right now on the bank
No,
that
the
are.
ground light, the ground sign.
Yes, ground up. Yes, lights from the ground pointing up at the sign.
The only problem I have with that is that's sometimes blinding to drivers. Have you seen excuse me, I'm gonna mention Taco Bell, but they have the gooseneck lights that actually shine down onto the sign instead of up.
What's good for the gooseneck is good for the gander,
Yeah,
Jim.
but I'm just saying, sometimes these lights that go from the ground up can act as a blinding, or can be a little blinding
And I
to drivers.
understand the concern. Yes, we can look at the
And they don't always
design.
illuminate the sign as well.
Yes.
Sometimes if you have it coming from the top and going around and
It's
just like
it's
shining down
it's directed
on,
exactly at the sign
It's
versus
directed
ground
at the
up, which could
sign.
flare on the sides of it and
Exactly.
create a reflection and a glare. Yes,
Change okay? Or
that it changes. Okay. Yes.
All right, so we eliminated.
I have to mention though that change this menu board sign exact shape of it will probably change a little bit because I have to have a space to mount the gooseneck. But the
No,
changes.
I'm not
yeah.
talking about the menu board, I'm talking about the window.
No, you're talking about this one. You're talking about the freestanding sign,
monument.
the
Yeah,
monument
right,
sign that's on
right.
Valley Road,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
That's what I'm referring
That
to.
it's all signs that require lighting have downlit lighting, is that right?
So
Or are there others that will have up lighting?
let me clarify this point for everyone so I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
All the signs on the building will have external lights and they're coming off the building up to the signs.
Up.
Right.
Yes. The monument sign, which is on the lawn facing Valley Road, currently is being uplit. And what the chairman is asking if we can do a different method of lighting, which will do down lighting via like gooseneck fixture. And I'm agreeing to that, but I'm just saying that the exact shape of what you're looking at today may change a little bit because we would have to look at where to mount those lights.
Right, no, we understand.
On the
That's it.
building, the uplighting on.
The uplighting on the building is not coming from, yes, there's uplighting on the building, but it's not coming from the ground up. It's basically right under the sign.
Okay, now is there something above the sign itself, an overhang on the roof or something to prevent spillage into the sky?
There is not an overhang. There's the typical overhang of a gable roof of 4 to 6 inches,
Well, that
but
is
there's
an
not
overhang. That is an overhang.
that is an overhang. Yes, but it's not.
Lighting be redirected to be down lighting as well?
I don't see a reason why not. The only one that I'm just, that's why I was turned around and looking at it, is as you're driving.
Yeah, as the chairman was talking about before,
Past
keep everything
this
on your
one.
property. Lighting is one of those things, and that's why he's recommending.
No, I agree, but those uplights are very close to the building, and they're on, they're right under here.
Yeah.
So
We're trying to
split
be
spillage.
respectful of our residents that live
Of course.
on that hill. That's just not too far from here, and they may not want to see all this commercial lighting at night, so that's one of the.
Yes, I understand, and I understand, and,
Where
and
would you mount if we wanted the lights above the Wendy and the face signs?
above the Wendy's is easier because we'll probably have like 2 or 3 here.
And that would
Who's
be
next?
coming and shining directly back.
It would
onto
be
the-
coming and shining directly back at the
That
sign.
would probably be better. It would keep it more.
We would do it certainly for these,
Yeah.
and then
the
same
one
thing
on the
here.
building's not lit, right? The one on the building, the face on the building is not
Th-
lit.
This is lit through these lights again onto the
What-
on.
What lights are lighting that?
We have vertical, basically sconces here that are just.
Ooh, that died again. The mic died again, Deb.
Okay, we have.
Can I answer Steve's question
yes.
about the sign?
Go ahead.
So
Never
I
usually runs out.
just want to say that typically, this is a use variance, right, for a drive-through, and so a menu board sign is usually its own type of sign, and
Yeah.
of course, we don't have a definition because we don't permit this use.
Right, obviously,
Right,
yeah.
so I think the closest it could come to would be a monument sign or a ground sign, because we really don't have a definition for menu
Right,
board.
right.
So in the umbrella of signage, I think it would fall under a ground
So
sign.
we're gonna,
I mean,
we're gonna conclude that this is 2 ground signs?
I guess you could say 2 ground signs for variances, or it's a type of sign that we don't
Can I
permit.
Can I,
Sorry, if you could just finish this
Yeah.
up, 'cause I just,
Let it, like-
it's a heck of an effort just to get the variances.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be. The area of then the ground signs is also a deviation from which they're seeking relief. Is it now a different number than the original 240 square feet? And if so, what is the new number?
All right, give me a
It's
second.
the any of the ground signs, which includes the triple menu board
Now we're including it, yes.
Right.
and the freestanding monument sign, is 53.7 square feet.
I'm sorry, that's the total of all?
That's the total of the 2 ground signs,
Okay,
which
so
is
it went
which is
down
the
to
triple,
menu board.
which is the triple menu board and the freestanding.
I'm sorry, I had I misread it. It was 24 square feet. That was.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was never 240, but
240. So now it is how much again?
53.57 square
It had
feet.
to go up, okay. 53.57 square feet for the area ground, okay. Now we have our variances, we have our scorecard
Can I-
for this application.
can I,
ahead.
can I, I
John's
just wanted
got
to clarify this, though, because I don't remember, and I know we're not a precedent-setting board.
No
but
board is a precedent
I
set,
know.
and no case sets a precedent
But that being,
under the
s-
municipal
but,
land use law.
but that being said, since there is no existing anything about these types of signs, about trip menu boards, say, for example, if we treated another menu board differently, does that not set a precedent, or no?
No.
There's,
Okay.
our
there's no-
board professionals will ensure consistency and.
So that's what I was asking.
and
Are we
uniformity in
being
application.
consistent? Are we being consistent with?
Yeah,
our 3 feet?
every site's different. Every site has its own,
Well, no.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Taco Bell clearly has a menu board there.
Right.
I don't recall that being considered. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't recall us considering that a.
I don't believe we had the discussion over the menu board on that application constituting part of that signage.
We did not, yeah, okay. I'm just,
My recollection was we
Well,
saw it incidental to the
I'm
use that
asking if
was
it is
part of the.
relevant, that's why.
Yeah, but I mean, we live and learn. Sometimes we don't realize that maybe we should have.
Can I ask a question about the monument
And then
board?
I'm right after you.
Yeah, go ahead.
The monument,
Evolution
the
to a
one
more
out front.
conservative
You said it
interpretation.
faced Valley Road. Does it face
it-
Valley Road, or does it go
It's
this way?
perpendicular
Okay,
on Valley Road.
so what is the distance?
Valley
of-
Road.
What is the distance of that monument board, that, a monument sign that has a Wendy's face logo on it?
And the name Wendy's.
Pardon me?
The one that
Sorry,
has
you're
the name
asking about
Wendy's.
the,
Are you asking?
I'm sorry, Chairman, we didn't.
Does it have the, you mean the one that
Right,
says the
I
name Wendy's?
haven't even
and the
gotten to
face?
say it
Okay,
yet, so
go ahead.
that's why it's not clear, right?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the freestanding sign, the monument sign, it has a Wendy's name on it, and it has the Wendy's logo on it.
correct, yes,
And it's not facing Valley Road, it's
No.
perpendicular.
correct.
So my question is, how far is that sign from the sign that's on the side that you replaced the Made Fresh with the Wendy's logo? Was the distance from that one Wendy's logo that is facing the same direction, perpendicular to Valley Road, as the one that's on the sign? That's one that's on the monument? If they're 10 feet apart, if they're 20 feet apart, are they 3 feet apart? We seen a
They're-
Wendy's logo,
they're-
a Wendy's logo?
They're over 50 feet apart.
They're over 50 feet apart?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you eliminate the one on the building?
I mean, sure, I'd like to have the discussion with you because as I was showing this, this one is really a long blank brick facade. As you're driving up, I believe this is a good opportunity to put something there.
There's a sign 50 feet away that says
which-
Wendy's and has the logo on it, right?
Which in this view, you could see it, this is
That's the existing.
existing one. And when there's trees here and leaves on it, driving down, you may miss this easily.
I don't think you're going to miss it. It's going to be lit up. There's another Wendy's logo above it. I think you've got more than enough signs on this building. We made that, that's why the variance, the numbers keep climbing and you keep adding up the square footage of the signs. So it sounds like you're willing to work with us, and I'm just wondering if this one sign on the building would be something that you eliminate, since you already have one facing in the same direction, just 50 feet away.
We hold that to the end?
Sure.
Sure.
Try to put it all together.
Yeah,
and
okay.
We'll take a break, and we're gonna, you know, this application is not gonna rise or fall on
One
the
side,
signage.
yeah.
We're gonna work out an accommodation, so.
Okay.
Can we take a break till we, talk about that? And
Sure, no problem.
the sense
No
of the
problem.
board
No
is
problem.
that a little more movement is needed.
Yeah.
On that, we'll fund an accommodation.
Let me ask you a question. You pointed it out, and I'm taking a look at A4, and you spoke that there's going to be two vertical lights. They're denoted as EL1. It's not in any of your key guides. I can't find it. How much light is supposed to be coming from those two lights that we have not yet spoke about?
This is supposed to be very, very minimal, just to shine on this sign.
So it's not like a neon.
No. It's not vertical. I'm sorry. It doesn't throw to the front of it. It's to the side, and it only goes to one side, which is this here.
So they're basically both like a wash on.
There are wall wash lights that go to the side. Exactly.
Thank you.
Any other questions for this witness? Does our experts have any questions of this witness?
Was this, if I may, Mr. Chairman, was this witness going to also address the overhang, or was that another
Yes,
witness?
no, he's gonna.
Yes.
Well, let's stick with the signs first. Are there any questions from our experts about the signs issue?
I do actually have
Yeah.
one question, just to add to the confusion. The pickup window door has what looks like French fries on the sign.
What?
What was that?
Do you see on the south elevation next?
That's the door itself. You're talking about the door itself.
Yeah, there's some sort of design on it.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which door?
Yes,
Is
the door
it-
itself.
Oh,
Oh, right. So what is that?
door.
It's usually just like a tint on the door.
Oh.
But it's French fries.
I honestly don't know if it's French fries.
Yeah, it's French fries.
It is okay. It's
Yeah.
French fries.
Okay, so I just to bring that.
I'll be honest, at a certain point, for me, everything looks like French fries.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good catch.
It's like
I
those
didn't-
murals.
That's tremendous.
It's like those murals.
Wow, that's a good catch, Liz.
Well, I don't know how the board feels about that. That this just if they're
No, thank you for pointing that out.
if you're being amenable.
Is
Better
it,
un-French fry those.
Yeah.
We can un-French fry the doors.
I'll put that in as in a pin.
all right, are we, aside from that Wendy's sign on the side of the building, which Gary brought up very astutely, can we move on with this, from the signs and go to the next issue? Okay, go ahead.
So
Karen, you had raised the concern about seeing if we could do something.
Yes.
To,
Lessen the impact of that.
to make the pass-through a little bit better.
Yes, a little bit more free.
Stalls on this and-
correct. So we heard you loud and clear. We went back and looked at this, and this is why we have these exhibits here. And I want to talk about the clearance also and the structure of it. So
And that's A5 again, correct?
that is A5 again, correct? Exhibit site photos. And I do want to mention the first thing is the clearance at this vertically is 11'1", and horizontally it's got the 2 lanes and the median in the middle, which where the columns are at that hold up the roof. This roof is a mansard roof, and as you can see in this exhibit, it has the, and you can look at the bottom left one also, it has the rooftop unit, which is the mechanical system for the building. Now, this is the only flat roof that actually has space for a mechanical system for exhaust fans to be on the building. In discussions about this, we looked at the structure, and the truth of the matter is for us to remove this, we would be reframing the entire roof basically, because it's running in this direction. And we do believe that the roof line here is appropriate to the building design and the location of the building and how it looks. So we have looked at this as much as we would like to eliminate it, because that's our intention as well. What we are coming back with is, and you can see this if I go back to A4, we have the 2 columns with the brick base, and those are existing columns with brick bases and a concrete median. And what we're proposing is removing the brick bases, basically making
Shrinking the size of the column.
So the column itself is a structural column that's within all of this, decorative elements, the base, and also the metal enclosure above. So we're going to get down to the column, see exactly what it is, remove the brick base, and as tight as possible, we'll put bollards on either side of the columns to protect the columns and shrink the median so it's exactly the same size, basically, of the bollards and the column.
Yeah.
So it would come down from about maybe 32, 34 inches in terms of the median to possibly 25 or so, 26
That would be an
inches.
improvement, because
Something
that
like-
would avoid people hitting it, give you a wider
Exactly.
pass-through.
Exactly.
It would be less obstructive to
Yeah.
the traffic.
So I think the suggestions we're making would be somewhere
Now,
between.
I was more concerned with those ballots coming down. The roof overhead is clearance, but you are warning people of that when they come in.
Correct.
My concern was that big, large brick base did not seem to serve any purpose.
Correct.
Other than obstruction.
And you're right about the clearance. The clearance is 11'1", but the crash bar that we're proposing in the beginning is 9 feet. So you wouldn't get past that to that point. So the roof would stay in place, as you said. But the base, we are looking at it. We just drove by it today also again to look at it again. I got out and took some measurements. And I think we're able to eliminate the brick bases, slim down the columns to whatever the structure is. I'm assuming the structure is about 10 inches by 10 inches, something like that. So whatever it is for us to
Make it
cover it up.
cosmetically look nice, yeah.
Make it look nice, still, in harmony with the rest of the building, the architecture in the building. Shrink the median so it's more comfortable getting around there, and putting bollards on either side to protect the columns versus the brick, which was used to basically be an aesthetic, a preferred aesthetic, but also a protection for the base of the column.
Yeah, and the bank had less traffic going through there. Yeah.
Yes.
If I may,
everybody-
Mr. Chairman, if you can just confirm that there'll be some sort of a curb or something separating the wheel path from the column itself. I know you said you wanted to shrink it up, but I still think there needs to be 6 inches or so a curb, a curb or something. I don't want a car hugging the curb line and taking its mirror off.
No, true,
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, so-
you can
so-
put-
There will
you
be,
can put
need to be a
ground,
little bit of an overhang.
Correct. There is an existing curb against the building, which will remain, and there is existing curb in that median, which
is
we're
gonna
just
be
proposing to shrink. So right now, it's about maybe 4 inches outside of the brick base. So eliminating the brick base, shrinking everything down, the median, the brick will remain. It will just shrink with, the entire system.
That's-
We think we're going to be able to get it between 8 to 12 inches somewhere
That would be
on
great.
both sides.
Yeah, I think that would it'll free up that area for a lot of different vehicles that might have to go through there.
Just as I said, as long as there's a curb or
I-
something to
yes.
prevent, if somebody's hugging the
The
curb
columns, yeah,
line,
yeah.
Or
they're-
the
they
column
won't hit the
line.
column
Right.
with the,
Right.
with their
Right.
mirrors.
E-
Would that be in the compliance set of plans, or are you thinking the construction drawings? That
We can put that in just in plan in the compliance, and then in the construction level we would show the detail for it.
Okay. Everybody like that idea?
Just so I'm clear, you think it'll be in the area of 8 to 12 inches on both sides, you said, correct?
8 to 12 inches on both sides.
It's saved, so to speak.
Yes.
Okay. Reduced, saved.
Yeah. All right. That was my main concern because the brick, albeit look aesthetic, it was really not functional. It,
Yeah.
it really took up a lot of your space that you could use for drive-through, and people go, feel comfortable about going around it.
No, I mean we have cars too, so I totally understand. Going through it is not a.
I think it would help your.
Yeah.
Appreciate the
Yes.
Yeah.
concern
Yes.
And the input here on the site.
Yeah.
To, keep the trucks out of there.
Yeah. Right.
Yes. Yes.
But you have big cars nowadays too.
Yeah, and the bollards are not there to that's not gonna. To your point, it's preventative, right? We don't want people to get to that point, so that's why the curb has to stay. That warns you if the wheel hits it,
The
and
curb's
then
fine.
yeah, yeah.
That's fine. That's a good thing. All right.
Was that it then for this witness?
I technically also. I mean, do you still? I kind of covered Adam's scope also, so
Yeah.
unless there's something specific about
Okay.
civil, I don't know how to answer.
Well, 1 second. We have the audience. Our experts have any more questions of this expert as far as the ballots, anything? Okay. Any member of the public? Yes, come on. Would you please hand him the mic, the public, please?
One of these days, we're going to get a second mic, right, if we can afford it? Charles Arenowitz, Millington. There's been a lot of discussion on the variance for the square footage of the sign. The attorney said we were at 115.26. We got rid of one of the menu boards. My calculation is 13.98. So is the variance now for the square foot of the signage at 101.28, or am I miscalculating?
We didn't commit to that.
Miscalculating.
We're gonna take a break.
So they're,
Commit to that.
The- there are-
menu board was not a wall. But there was an
Correct.
issue with what might be a wall sign.
there are two separate calculations of square footage. One on the wall signs and one on the ground signs.
Right.
So the wall signs were at 115.26, subject to still the discussion, and the ground signs were at 53.57 for the sign on Valley and the triple menu sign.
Right.
There's no further discussion because they got rid of the other menu board
Right,
already,
but
and we took that out.
yeah, so my question is that 115.26, does that get reduced by the one menu sign?
No, that's the
No, that's
building
ground
mounted signage.
Oh, okay.
It's
All
only
right.
Already taken off to get to the 53.7.
Okay,
But
thank
the
you very
one-
much.
The 115 may change depending, because there's an issue with the wall sign still TBD.
Right.
115 is the wall, right? 53 is the ground.
Any other questions for this?
Well, the wall sign, so, I know that you guys are going to huddle up and talk about the sign that's illuminated on the building, and that's, it's not just the square footage, it's the number of signs that is a
Both.
a variance.
Both.
Because there's a lot of restaurants out there that have one sign, right? So what is the number of signs? I know you went through the square footage, the number of signs.
Six wall,
And-
that may
No, no.
become five.
What is the
And-
norm? What would be ordinance?
One max permitted.
One.
Okay.
So they're 5 times that, or 6 times that, right now, right?
We're waiting
So,
to
so, I
determine
mean,
whether it's
if,
6
if,
or 5.
if that doesn't make sense, then maybe eliminating some of the Wendy's signs that are lit up in the top part of the roof would be an option. You could eliminate 2 of those instead of the one on the side of the building. You guys will talk about that, I suppose.
We will, yes.
Is there any other member of the public out there that has the question, that wants the question? Okay. Hearing none, I close the portion of the meeting to the public. Any other witnesses that you want to do before you take a break?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to do the resolutions while they're breaking? We could be efficient that way.
No.
No? All right.
No, we're not
10
gonna
minutes,
be
would 10 minutes be enough?
Nice try.
No. Give somebody a break here. Okay.
I thought we could do it sort of like a, we could sort of drive through it.
We're back on,
we're
back in
back on the
session
air.
at 9:05.
Chairman, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're gonna tag team a little bit with Andrew Malou.
Okay.
I hope I pronounced his Mayu.
And what's his official?
He's the Director of Development at the franchise.
Fine, okay. And he's sworn in.
He's not sworn in.
Oh, we have to swear him. I thought he was a new face. Okay.
Ms. Mayor, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to God or affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And again, your name, and if you could spell your name, please, for the record, as well as your address, business address is fine.
Sure. My name is spelled Andrew, Andrew, Mayu, Mallous. The business address is 163 Washington Valley Road, Warren, New Jersey.
And your current title and job responsibilities?
Current title is Director of Development. I'm in charge of directing the development.
You're in charge of all of us. And you're not testifying really as an expert right now, but you do have a license and you've testified. Can you just tell the board?
I am not testifying as a professional, but I am a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey and New York. I've testified before boards in New Jersey before.
And you're using your knowledge to apply it to the functioning of the Wendy's?
Yes.
Okay, you heard the testimony when we were here 2 weeks ago and the discussions, and you heard the board's concerns about the number of signs and locations, and from the operator's perspective, can you talk about what we talked about in terms of where we could pare back a little bit and why you'd like to keep the one?
Yes. So what we're effectively proposing here is one wall sign per building face. And we think that that's, except for on this facade, we have two. And so we understand the concern about number of signs, not just the square footage of signs. We do think that this one is very important for brand recognition as you're driving eastbound on Valley Road. I had discussed earlier with the team that this foliage, or these trees, when they are fully in bloom, really do obscure the visibility of the monument sign as you're traveling this direction on Valley Road. So we do think that the sign on the building here is appropriate and necessary, important for the recognition of the restaurant as you're driving that direction. The monument sign coming in the other direction is really to aid in the recognition of the structure coming the other way. It is not as obstructed by vegetation, trees, that type of thing. So,
You are able to eliminate the one sign? That one's,
yes.
Can you show us? So this is what we discussed during the break.
We discussed during the break that we would eliminate one of the wall-mounted signs, which would reduce the number of wall-mounted signs to one per building face, not including this delivery pickup, which I don't think we had discussed as
a branded sign.
As a branded sign. This is really for informational purposes only. It doesn't serve to reinforce the brand. So we are prepared to eliminate the made fresh to order signage off of this facade because we do feel that this is the much more critical sign on that face.
I'm sorry, we had 6 wall signs, though, but now you're saying 5 or 4?
Well, it depends how you look at it.
Sorry, and that pickup is part of the
Is
signs.
one of them.
It is one of them,
Right,
yeah.
so we're going from 6 to 5, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that's okay, because I got a scorecard. And that's gonna take off how much square footage for that made to fresh once it's removed? Gonna bring our 115.26 down to?
It will reduce that by 18.48 square feet.
8, so our calculators are burning. There we go, 90, would that be 96.78?
And is the,
I have help.
and the fifth sign is
The fifth,
arguable, but it just says,
it's just lettering that says delivery pickup.
okay, so it's 4 plus the delivery, whether you call that a wall sign.
That's correct.
or not. We're recognizing advertising it as a miscellaneous,
No, almost sign, it either is or it isn't.
4 plus a miscellaneous,
96.
It's 4 branded signs plus 1 informational sign.
96.78 square feet, 5
and
wall signs.
Andrew, we
So the-
talked about this a little bit. Signage is one of those tough things about zoning. You're obviously, you and your company are in the retail business, and you're making a multi-million-dollar investment.
That's correct.
In the building, the build-out, the operations. Retailers like to have reasonable signage.
Yes.
We appreciate that. It's a balance
so-
within the community, but as a retailer who's investing in the community, who's taking a closed bank branch.
And as we,
obviously would like to have it.
as we've discussed previously, the architecture of this building does not scream Wendy's, hamburgers and fries. And we think that the signage is very important for recognizing that that is what the structure is. And that's critical to the operation of the restaurant.
I know the board is going to consider that as part of looking at everything on this plan.
Okay.
So there's a concern about when you're coming eastbound on Valley, that the single monument sign is, if you didn't have this one on that facing wall, that could be obstructed for some of the year, and that's really certainly for a drive-through restaurant, that's not a lot of signs.
Yes.
In your experience.
That's
in the
correct.
drive-through.
That's correct.
That's, I think, the
Okay.
board's understanding.
But there's restaurants out there that have just one sign that are very successful. How do you explain the success of your restaurant being dependent on more than one sign?
The restaurant that you're describing may be not a franchise restaurant. It may rely on reviews and people already knowing that it's there. So one of the important parts about quick service restaurant is recognition as you're driving by. That's where a lot of the customers come from.
Spur of the moment stopping.
Exactly.
And
if I may just
if the
add-
monument sign is obstructed, why don't you just lose that one then?
Because it's visible westbound. So that way,
So is the sign that's facing on the west side of the building, that one right there, visible.
no,
Oh,
you're
that's the
talking
east
about
side.
you're talking about this one, or which one are you talking
It's on
about?
every side of the building.
Right, there's
And
one,
you have one out front.
which is the monument sign, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is foliage.
And
That's
there's-
what
and
we're.
There's restaurants out there that don't have signs on every side of their building,
If
and they have one sign.
correct, and I think one of the points that Andrew was making was if this was a ground up Wendy's with Wendy's colors, Wendy's materials, reducing the signage would probably be not a bad idea because you still recognize the architecture, you still recognize the colors, the building, you understand what that is. But looking at an older bank building that's been converted into a Wendy's, you do need to have some element of recognition for the brand, versus a building or an Italian restaurant that has different architecture and only one sign in it, and maybe a sign to bring you in, enter, or exit.
I was just looking at pictures of the Short Hills Wendy's, which doesn't look like a Wendy's building. So they all look different. And to your point about taking the building down, that's what was done. So you didn't come to us with like, we're taking this down and putting a new building, as was done on that other place that we're not really comparing ourselves to, right?
So one other point I wanted to make about this building in particular is the Wendy's prototype, it's called the Global Next Generation building. It has a specific orientation. It's intended to face forward and on the side. This particular building here is visible from all 4 sides. We would have loved if the front of the building, you could have entered through the front on Valley, but that just is not the way that the lot is configured.
Something here. I appreciate that, and you probably have marketing geniuses.
Jerry, could you speak a little more into the mic? Sure.
I appreciate what you're saying, and you probably have some very astute marketing people on your payroll that tell you exactly where the sign should be and how many there should be and how big they should be, right? But you're asking for signage that's literally 5 times the amount that's allowed on a business property in our town. It's 5 times the square footage, and also 5 times the number. So there's got to be something that we can do here, because if you drive in some other towns that have similar sign ordinances, you may see a restaurant, whether it's fast food or just another tavern type establishment, and they do very well with their downlit sign. It's a wooden sign, and it's on the lawn. Everybody knows it's there. We don't need to tattoo the building like in every single angle to understand that it's a Wendy's. So many people are going to find out this is a Wendy's from your app, right? That's how the world trades these days. That's what you guys testified to, right? And more of your customers use the app. So people driving by, they're going to see that sign on Valley Road. That will be seen. So we're just asking you really to try to work with us and respect what we're doing here. This is a very prominent spot in our town.
I don't think with every suggestion that we got from your staff, and that's what we said.
Right.
Yes, to the extent we can.
Yeah, I understand that.
Including, you change the type of sign to go to the matted sign. You change the
Right, but you
lighting.
shouldn't even have brought that other stuff in here. You should know that. I mean, that you shouldn't even do. Especially since you looked at Taco Bell. right?
Guys,
Anyway.
I think what we should do at this point, let's take a poll of the board and determine whether the board would be happy with 1, 2, 3, 4 building signs, not including that one that says delivery pickup, just the branded signs, or 3 branded signs, minus the one on the west elevation. Because we could go around all day. Starting on my right.
Sorry, a little more time to think about it, but again, it's a highly visible spot. The sign by the drive-through, it's still going to be hard to see even from the street. If you could do away with that, I'd be happy with the rest of them.
So you wanted 4, then
Yeah,
you're in favor of
that'd be
4.
fine.
Okay. Russell?
I'm fine with 5. I appreciate your comments, and if you're saying it's important to business.
Randy.
Yeah, I
I'm
knew what
sorry.
you meant.
I'm just getting
You're telling
punchy.
us it's important for business, to council's point, you've listened to almost everything else we've asked you to do, so I'm good with 5.
I need to ask Gary.
I think you guys have been really trying to be very accommodating with the signs and the screening, and we're not actually deliberating on the whole thing, we're talking
No,
about the
just
signs.
that sign issue.
But it's a very prominent corner of our town, is the gateway to Long Hill from some positions, and I think people are going to know that there's a Wendy's there without having Wendy's signs all over it, so I'm not liking all the signs that are there.
So you would want 4 instead of 5?
I would want 1 like the other restaurants in town.
Okay, but you would,
You asked the question, I answered it.
I was going from 4 to 5.
Okay, I think it should have 1 sign.
Okay. Go ahead, Tom.
I'm okay with the signs in the peaks. You can see that from a distance, and it tells you what it is. I have an issue with the illuminated sign on the side of the building, which you'll be driving up to. Don't think we need to have a Wendy's logo there. And I know it's going to be a wall
wash, yeah.
Yeah, but it's still an illumination. There's a lot of light in that corner, and it's going to be on till midnight. I'm not a fan of that right now, so I would say that I'm probably a 4.
I'm fine with 5, honestly. Honestly, if you were gonna say 4, and I know this doesn't make a lot of sense for your business model, because, just because it's the main entrance, but that's the least visible of all the signs on your building, right? Is your main entrance where you walk in, but you're not gonna have a main entrance without the Wendy's sign. But in terms of everyone talking about cars and everything, seeing it, that's probably the one that people will see the least. I understand your issue with, you're on 2 main roads here, and if you were again talking about some other restaurants in our town, if you were in their positions, you wouldn't have so many places where they could see. So I'm in agreement that 5's fine with me.
Jerry?
Thank you for listening to the board and making all of the adjustments you've made to your application. We all appreciate that, and we're working hard to get something that we can approve. But if you should be so fortunate as to have an approval, I would think and be hopeful that you would be able to live with conforming with our sign ordinance. And we just hope to have 1 sign that's downlit with wood grain will look alike wood grain. I think that would really, really make a nice statement about our Valley Road corridor. That's the way we're going. That's the way we want our commercial business district to look. People have spent a lot of time analyzing that, a lot of time building these ordinances, and I would really love you guys to be respectful of that.
Yeah, Alex?
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning more towards the four than the five, but I'm going to throw a little fly in the ointment here, and that's the windows. I'm looking at pictures of the existing, or what was used there previously, and signs were put in the windows. And how can we can have confidence that that won't occur here? Because if I'm driving down, say, you know, the east elevation side, I see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 windows that each one could potentially become a sign.
We're not proposing those. That's an enforcement issue with the zoning officer.
Well,
I mean, we're not proposing that. They're not
okay.
going to be permitted.
All right, as
Yeah.
long as.
Right, well, that's for the zoning person, the enforcement person that would enforce.
Yeah. Okay.
So as far as.
4.
You want 4?
4.
Okay. So what is that now? How many 4, how many 5s?
I wasn't tracking, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I wasn't tracking 4s versus 5s versus 1s.
4.17 signs. Plus the miscellaneous, is that what, we're taking one, we're taking one off. We're definitely taking one off.
The question is
They're
whether.
gonna go with 4. Yeah, I think you got 5 people who said 4 or 5, and you had 2 people who said 1.
Okay.
Which are the
Chairman, I think, I don't think.
I understand, and I'm trying to comprehend where my board is here. I personally like as least amount of signs as possible, but I do see your point as far as the Wendy's and the other 2, because at some point the building has to be identified. I would prefer one side out front, but we all know in the world of advertising, in the world of trying to get people into your building, you would like to see as much identification on the building as possible, because it doesn't look like a Wendy's. And although there's other Wendy's that don't look like a Wendy's, but you know, everybody's got, and we do appreciate that you're not internally lighting them, you are downlighting them. I would prefer not having that sign on the other side, where, you know, on the side that says made fresh, whatever.
We're agreeable on that, Chairman. We're taking the made fresh.
No, I meant the other face sign, because it is basically a light that is very visible from the street. And I don't think it's going to be any more of an attraction than the sign that's on the street, basically, because you're going to see that. You're going to know the Wendy's is there, as opposed to seeing something on the building, only because it is going to be a little bit brighter, it's lower, and it's going to be more in somebody's face, basically, than the ones on the peaks.
Have you ever seen the Walgreens building?
Yeah.
How many signs on the building say Walgreens?
Well, there was that, they got the thing on the tower.
Yeah. One?
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay.
I'm just saying, as opposed to all 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right across the street.
Yeah. I would say the 3 branded signs minus.
So every restaurant in town can come in and say, we want 5 signs
No,
on
they
our building.
can't.
Sure they can. They come before the board and say, we need
They can
5
ask.
signs.
They can ask.
They can ask, and they can have a room full of
There's
people
no-
say, we're coming in here, we need our 5
Gary,
signs to be
well,
successful.
one second, hold on. I understand your point, you want one sign. I understand that.
No, I'm saying the point is that any restaurant can come in here and say, we want 5 signs on our building.
Well, Mr. Chairman, may I advise the board that, given that we're in the midst of a quasi-judicial hearing and not having a public policy discussion as a planning board would or a governing body would, while this is interesting, perhaps we should focus on the quasi-judicial capacity we're here now in and continue to hear the application and ultimately decide the application.
We're only discussing the Wendy's, not everybody else's building, and I understand what you're saying, but every application stand on its own merit. If somebody else comes in and wants whatever they want, we have to consider the site, is what we're doing here. Every site is different.
As long as you're considering the site.
Yeah, we are considering the site. And in my opinion, the site, I don't mind having the name Wendy's and these other 2. The one on the side of the building, I tend to agree with you, that is a bit of an overkill with the lights shining on it on the side of the building, as opposed to the ones in the peak. And I don't think it's going to make any more of a difference in people seeing that it's a Wendy's, because you do have the one out front.
Could we remove the lighting on there, on that one? That one?
Are you asking to go to downlighting on it or eliminate the lighting?
I thought we were already with the downlighting on all of them.
Well, this is side lighting on this one.
It's only
It's a wall
one
wash.
had the wall wash, but we can go to down lighting with this. But I need to understand, just so we're all on the same page, we're talking about 4 to 5, 1, 2, 3, correct?
Well, and I guess the 5 is,
So we're all counting.
yeah, it's the 3 branded signs as opposed to 4 branded signs,
correct.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then 4, 5.
Well, you already eliminated the,
And this is gone, so
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
4, 3 or
And then-
4,
And
basically.
then this.
The monument.
The monument sign, you've keep.
That's
it
an
going.
information sign.
Well, I thought we were talking about the wall, the building mounted sign. That's why I'm.
Well, we're talking about 5 signs, meaning the one out front, too.
Got it. So the one up front is 1. So then we're
Right.
talking 2, 3,
3,
4.
4, 5.
Stop at
5.
4.
And I'm saying I prefer only 4 and not the one on the side of
You're
the building.
including the monument sign.
I'm including the monument sign.
Monument being 1,
Yeah.
2,
3, 4.
and I'm pointing to the peaks.
Right, exactly.
I understand.
Exactly. So, our thoughts. I mean, our opinion is the less comes off of that property, the better, as far as what people see from a distance. And I think if people know, people are gonna know your Wendy's is there, they're gonna see that outside, they're gonna see the sign on Valley Road in time to make the right turn on the Plainfield. We don't want a lot of light spillage.
And if I may, we heard everybody and we understand the point, and we definitely do respect the town and the board and the corner and the location, and we're happy to abide by 4, including the monument sign being 1, the peak on the east elevation 2, the peak on the south elevation 3, and the peak on the north elevation being 4.
Right. And eliminate that wall wash.
And the one on A4 exhibit west elevation, the sign right now that has the Wendy's face on it would be eliminated, correct, sir?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And if this is where we are now.
Fresh sign.
So, and also the Made Fresh,
Right.
correct.
And that would also mean that the lighting that was going to be used for the.
That, the lighting would also be eliminated with the signage, absolutely, yes. And this is just, we understand, we heard the discussion, and we respect that, and we understand
With authorization,
it.
you're making those modifications to the site plan and agreeing to those stipulated conditions.
Correct, yes, sir.
Are we at now 3 wall signs?
Plus a miscellaneous.
Yeah, 3 branded wall signs
Well-
plus that delivery one.
Well, we call that 4 wall signs.
Yes, but we got, I want to make
got
sure
the-
for
I
the
have-
record that branded
I
sign.
have the
Yeah.
distinction.
Okay.
The area of the wall signs now in total is
75.113.
75.
He's all way ahead.
11, and versus 25. 4 versus 1, 75.11 versus 25. Our ground signs are still 2,
Yeah.
and our area of ground signs are still 53.57.
Correct.
And we still have eliminated the wall illumination and the appearance of signs. And there was a average illumination greater than the max permitted at one point. We still there? Joe and.
Adam, there was, he did testify about that we were a little bit higher.
High on that. And that is a variance, not a design waiver, correct, Liz?
I think it's a
And
design.
153.2, I think it's a design waiver.
It's a design waiver.
Design waiver.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was, if I'm correct, Adam, the testimony was to meet the original intent of the site plan approval, because you were using the existing fixtures.
Correct. Yes,
Right,
that's
but it
correct.
still technically exceeds the average illumination
Yes.
permitted for the.
Correct.
Okay.
Design.
And that's a design waiver. So we have the 4 variances, number of wall signs, area of wall signs, number of ground sign, area ground sign, and we have the design waiver on the average illumination exceedance.
Exemption.
So-
Waivers are for checklists, exemptions are for design
Well,
standards.
yes, there are those who use the term interchangeably,
Like
as well.
DEP and the stormwater rules, yes.
Gentlemen, you were kind enough to ask, the voting is slightly different for the use variance.
Yes,
versus
yes.
signage.
This was just to this is just to clarify the signage.
Okay.
Because I didn't want that to be hanging over our heads before we deliberated on the entire thing. I know some members would prefer other things, but at least we've come to some consensus that we've, But
I
now,
don't want the D variance to go down.
I
because
understand.
there's still some other issues with it. I think we have a consensus.
Pretty much a
working through on the
consensus,
sign-
yeah.
on the signage, and it's-
Where's your planner? Is he on?
Here.
He's here.
Before
Oh,
we,
good.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, yeah.
did we finish this witness?
No, I just wanted to ask if where his planner was, that's all.
Oh, yeah, Mr. McDonough.
Is there anything else that you can add to this application as being the director of operations? I mean, that, now that you're standing there, I don't want to cut you short.
I think our professionals have done a great job presenting the project. I'm also not head of our vice president of operations did offer testimony on
Okay.
how the restaurant would operate.
Okay. Well, I meant like the, what do you usually do? What is your job function?
I work with the design team
The
to
design team designed the buildings. Okay.
and to work through the site plan application process and
Okay, all right, that's, all right.
And
So
beyond.
you pretty much told us everything about what you need to.
yes, yes.
Do we have anybody in the audience that wants to question these witnesses? Okay, thank you, then we're gonna close it to the audience. Okay, yeah, are we done with these two? Or as far as our experts go? I just wanna make sure, I don't wanna, okay, fine, so bring it back your planner, because we had some questions for him.
He's here,
Yeah,
Mr.
good,
McDonough.
all right.
Thank you, board and board professionals.
Sir.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Haven't lost your planner's license in the last 2 weeks?
No.
No.
You're still
No
licensed, good,
disciplinary actions
No.
in the last 2 weeks?
good,
That you became aware of?
yeah.
No, I
All
have
right.
not.
Is this your third or your fourth or your fifth tonight?
Third tonight.
Third tonight.
Wow,
That's low.
wow.
It's a slow night.
Yeah, no speeding tickets getting here. Now, we ended the last time with you just explaining and doing, we had no appropriate time to question you because it was 11 o'clock at night. Does the board need a refresher on what he said, or do you have any questions ready for him?
I just have one question,
Go
maybe
ahead.
that to help tee it up. Mr. McDonough, are you aware of the additional concessions made by your applicant client, bringing the number of wall signs down to 4, the area of wall signs to 75.11 square feet, the number of ground signs to 2, and the area of ground signs to 53.57 square feet? And the wall sign illumination has been eliminated. And the, say illuminated has been eliminated 10 times fast. And the appearance of signs have been eliminated, those deviations. But we still have the average illumination exceeding the maximum permitted as an exception, not a waiver, we don't use that term. In light of that, has your testimony changed any, and if so, how so? Go ahead, I probably should have allowed your counsel to ask you that, but I'd like to hear the answer too.
So through the interactive process and compliments to your professionals with working with us, some back and forth, we think that this application has landed at a good spot with respect to signage, taking a good plan and making it even better, simplifying that sign package. Obviously, there's always a balance here, and we think we've landed at a good balance where we can provide for effective recognition here, clear and safe identification of the site to the public, the patrons that will come here, while respecting, from a context-sensitive standpoint, your community design and character.
And if I may just dovetail off that, you're also aware the additional stipulated 2 conditions by your client losing one of the menu board signs. The directional signs will not have logos, but will have shadows, if you will, of a figurine that we're all familiar with.
No, it was colors. It was
Colors,
The
excuse me,
cameos.
colors.
Yeah, the cameos will be.
Monument sign will be downlit. The wall signage apparently also will be downlit. And the brick bases and the structural element is being borne down to its columns or pillars, and the median is shrinking by approximately
Accordingly, yeah.
8 to 12 inches on either side, still continuing a 6-inch curb. With all those additional stipulated 2 conditions, again, Is your testimony the same as it just was with respect to the signage and the relief sought?
It is even stronger, even better.
Was it C2 that you were arguing with respect to all variances, but for the D1 use variance for the drive-through component of the use?
Yes, I went down pulling.
And then I guess with the average illumination being an exception, that's the 51B standard, if I recall correctly.
That's
in the
correct.
email you will.
Reasonableness and impracticability, yes.
And so your testimony remains the same there, correct?
Correct.
I think we're teed up for the
Okay.
board to ask the question the
And
board intended to ask.
Mr. Chairman, if you need me to do a minute recap, I certainly can. It's,
No, well, I think our board members had some questions, so let them tee it. Who had a question?
I have
Go
some
ahead.
questions. So, my first question is, last week you were, 2 weeks ago, sorry, you were telling us how this site is particularly well-suited for this use. And I think that's part of the criteria that you need to satisfy to accomplish this. So I was thinking about that, and I'm also thinking about all of the challenges in the parking lot and the circulation of that lot there, the vehicle circulation. I went there myself a few times. It looks challenging for a car to be entering and exiting at the same time. The narrowness of the driveway on Plainfield Avenue doesn't seem friendly for vehicles going in and out at the same time, which I imagine is going to happen a lot. We've had traffic engineers here. No one brought this up. We talked about left turns, and we talked about congestion, so we're satisfied with that. But considering that, narrowness of that, plus the signage that's required for no trucks, no trailers, all different kinds of, no, prohibition on this. And to me, I just want to know how you can, really justify that this is particularly well-suited for an intense vehicle use.
What's nice about this application?
I believe it was testified they were gonna make that opening bigger.
Yes, Mr. Arnett, I'm not sure you got that. Mr. Candle testified that they could make that opening.
They can or they will?
They will. I think it was testified you were intending to make that
Can
bigger.
you come back up for that?
Because I had the same concern, because you have that big rounded area there that almost cuts off the ability to make the right.
You could make a curb cut, you could trim it back and give a little more of a wider opening.
So this curb area here at the entrance, we are making bigger.
Okay.
Over here, if deemed necessary and in evaluation with the county, we can make it bigger.
Okay, Adam, you realize you're still on the road from 2 weeks ago?
But the plan doesn't show that, does it? Does that plan show you're increasing it?
Are we talking about the opening on Plainfield or?
Yes.
The opening to Plainfield
The
Avenue.
opening to Plainfield, we've made it, we've modified it slightly while maintaining the same curb cut, on Plainfield. We did open the area to the drive-through to allow.
Right, I understood that, but what I thought was just testified to was that the narrowness of the Plainfield exit and entrance was gonna be increased, so it's not as narrow as it is now. So that's not the case. You don't plan to do that.
That is not the proposal
Okay.
right now, that is
Because
something.
I
that we would
misunderstood, someone
consider.
else just said that. I thought that's what they were
Oh,
saying.
That's why I was
Okay,
open
fine.
the plan.
So continue then, given the narrowness and all of the signage that's required. What we talked about when we were talking about the signs was, what if someone doesn't see one and someone pulls in with a trailer or a larger truck or something like that? And I think the answer was, well, that's on this property, right? Like, so that's the problem of Wendy's. But I look at it like our residents are there too, so, and it's other people. And I don't like when I go somewhere and I go to a restaurant or somewhere else and the parking is undersized or something else isn't really the way it should be. And then I say, who approved this? Like, what board would do this? So I just don't want that on my record. So
Okay.
I'm just, like, how do you speak to that?
I see your point, Jerry, and I agree with you, because this big rounded area here that looks like it could be squared off and give more space to the incoming cars so they can make a better turn into the drive-through, because that's an awfully small area. If you look at the bottom left-hand picture there, that big rounded area seems to jut into the entrance.
I concur with my colleagues.
That should be chopped and made, back about 5 feet or so.
We'll need radius on that that curb coming from Plainfield into the
Right,
site
but it
curb.
should be, the radius should be cut back, because you, right now, if you try to turn in there, you see how narrow it gets between the line and there? You almost, it'd be hard pressed to try to not go into the lane that's coming out.
I think you need to.
Mr. Chair, if I could- so I'm looking at exhibit A5.
Right.
Lower left.
Right, yes.
photograph, and I'll call it the hairpin curve.
Yes,
coming in.
yes.
You want to see that softened, a little white.
Or widened, yeah, brought back a little bit, because that is an extremely tight turn there. And it's, what's deceptive is it's wider by the street, and then it narrows because that's coming into it.
It's a pincer point.
Yeah, and that's like you're causing a problem there.
It's fine for one car, but if you have
Two cars.
going in
Is
and
the mic,
going out,
is the mic still working?
problem.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, we heard it.
Oh.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. Oh.
Oh, no, is it?
I thought the system was out.
So you'd like them to trim it to a curve of the diameter of the
Degree,
width
or-
between the two
Right.
curbs.
Yes.
So it's not a compound curve.
Right.
It's just simply,
Push it back so that it doesn't jut into the entranceway.
I don't
Because
think it's gonna, yeah. So
right now, if you went straight, you'd hit the curb, basically. You have to almost go to your left, and you're going into the oncoming traffic.
Joe, what I'm talking
I don't
about,
see that.
Both sides, yeah.
picture yourself driving south on Plainfield Avenue
Mhm.
and making a right into the parking lot.
Yeah.
At the same time, another person is at that stop line.
And that-
Trying to leave. That can't happen.
I think it
Only,
can.
Like two pieces of
I think
matter
it
can
can,
occupy
and
the same
it.
space.
and-
But it's tight.
I think it can, and it did happen at the bank. I
The-
think,
the
I
bank-
understand that there's a more predominance of cars leaving and entering at the same time, but the width of the opening, like measured at the stop bar, straight across, is the width of the parking lot aisle.
Right,
And I
but the
believe
others-
that interior to the site, that two-way traffic, so if you were to come straight in to park your vehicle and enter the building, that two-way traffic in the drive aisle is, we have a site plan to reference that width. I think that's maintained to the width of, it's actually widened
I have to go try to.
at the entrance to the site.
Yeah, you're talking about going out. I'm talking about coming in.
See if I can go find
No, I
Going
understand,
in.
but
That's narrower there.
While somebody's occupying the spot.
You're right.
You're going and making a right, you have to go
Oh,
on
the mic.
the, on the opposite
oh,
side
yeah,
of the
yeah,
road.
yeah, of course, yeah.
hold on, let me just
Need help?
pull to the site. Pull to the site.
If that whole curb was pushed back, you would open that area up and have a freer flow to make the right into your drive-through and also to go straight. Because right now, if somebody comes and make a right off a Plainfield, if they don't take that real tight, they're gonna be smacking the left-hand side of the car coming out.
The more you open that, the more you may encourage traffic from the larger vehicles and the trailers that you're
I'm
prohibiting.
not really.
There's a sign there.
There's a sign there that say no truck. I'm only.
You guys can have what you want.
I want to make that bigger just for cars. I don't think it's big enough for cars because the bank didn't have a lot of cars going in and out.
It's still two-way traffic.
Right.
And there was a site plan with an approval for two-way traffic of
Yes.
single cars.
I realize that. I say they got it wrong, though. They should have made that wider. I think that whole thing is a little screwed up. Whoever allowed them to do that didn't think that a car is coming around. And a bank, you don't have that many cars going in and out that often. So here, you're going to have the potential of a car sitting there at the stop sign and 2 or 3 cars pulling in at the same time.
I think respectfully, what you're trying to engineer in is accommodations for student drivers that haven't been on the road very long. They do exist,
Yeah.
but at the stop,
Would it hurt-
with
would it hurt to pull that back?
with a car sitting at the stop bar to exit, there is a demarcation of the in and out lane, striped, and there is ample width for a car to make the 180 turn in off of Plainfield, as well as the turn northbound into the site and S turn into the driveway.
I just don't see why you have this big circle coming in and you have it wider at the curb. I'm never in favor of that. I'm always in favor of having the area that's behind the drive-in area the same width.
Mr. Chairman, are you looking at a photo or are you looking at the site plan?
No, I'm looking at this photo right here.
Yeah, so we're enlarging compared to what's on the photo.
Okay.
So part of the first thing that we did is we made the throat of this entrance here a little wider as part of our proposal.
Can I see that closer?
Yeah.
Because I'm not catching at this distance.
If you look where the arrow is on the photograph,
Yeah.
he's pulled the lane white.
Oh, okay. So you have made that circle smaller. Right, because you pulled back that circle.
Correct, to make the throat of
Well, that's what I was saying. You did make it wider.
You said no.
No, that's what I clarified.
So they did make it bigger. Okay. You did exactly what we wanted. They did make it bigger.
Not changing the curb cut.
Right, because the curb cut was wider, so you made the interior wider to the curb cut. That's what we wanted, exactly. Thank you. Yes, you did exactly what we wanted you to do.
Could you just bring that over here so we can see?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just let the board members look at that, because it's...
We don't have that.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Yeah.
part of our original submission. On our,
Oh, we
on
thought that
our,
was the updated one. Is there
this is
one-
the
we were
update for the
told.
signage.
Oh.
The
Oh.
site plan
That's still the same.
attributes
Okay.
are still the same.
This is All right, okay.
landscaping plan, you can see where they took they're taking the tree out, that'll make it a little clearer.
Yeah, we actually removed the tree and made the float of that opening.
That's exactly what we wanted, yeah. That was perfect.
Okay.
So you caught our gist.
Thank you for that. Sorry for that long.
That's what we needed to see.
Good.
Okay, so that was question one.
Yes.
So we're still on the parking lot, if you will.
Yep.
In the lot.
I'm gonna keep these guys here just.
I'm just saying, take that aside, but given the other constraints, like the limited trailer, no trailers and no trucks, and box trucks have to park it a certain way, in your opinion, you still believe that this area is particularly well suited for this use?
I do. These are standard traffic control signs to control the flow. We have a traffic engineer who's testified here, we have a site engineer.
Right.
And we've had 2 traffic engineers look at this now, and a site engineer as well, to ensure that that balance is met.
Mr. Arameo, I don't want to speak for Brighton, but I think that, as that you recall, Mr. George's testimony, that he felt he was comfortable with the control, that the site could have safety. I think that's what he testified.
Right, I think most of what I remember in the testimony, and I wanted to review it, but I wasn't able to, so I don't know what, it's not on the website yet, but I wanted to review that too.
wanted to give you the
But most of that was about like traffic volume and congestion and stuff like that. I don't, like, we did talk about trailers, I know Paul White, one of our board members, had lots of questions about trailers, and that's what went down that road with the signage, and that's why I'm here, because now I'm saying there's so many questions about the signage, the narrowness at the beginning, and everything else, so is this all suited?
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm saving my summation, but
Okay.
I am recalling
Okay.
Mr. Jar, I
I
believe,
recall.
gave some confidence that.
With the signage and.
Perhaps not a perfect site, but this is a fully developed
Right,
site.
but that's why I'm saying particularly well suited, because maybe nothing's perfect, but is it even particularly well suited? Like, what degree is this, right? That's
Well,
right.
that's why you guys get the big box.
What Mr. George said was they're gonna have problems on their site, but it's not gonna be on the roads.
Exactly, that's what he said. He's the one that said that, isn't he? It's
Yeah,
gonna be on their.
but that's
it's their
okay.
problem,
It
but That's
doesn't-
really our residents' problem too, because it could be any one of our
He's just
kids
saying it's their problem,
that are in there.
the
yeah.
owner's problem, because they're
But
the
it could be
ones.
our problem too. It could be
It's
one
more of a
residents.
problem for them because they can't accommodate certain vehicles, and as long as the signage is attested to,
Right.
or as long as people abide by the restrictions of not having certain vehicles in that property, you shouldn't have a problem.
So what he said was it's gonna be their problem, which is kind of a contrast to it being well suited. I mean, you're saying it's well suited, Mr. Jar is saying it has a problem.
It should be okay, I always wonder.
I just want to. He didn't say will be a problem. He said if the case that is going to be a problem, it's going to be the owner's problem. But the assumption that something will definitely happen on the site is just an assumption.
Right.
We
It's probably not gonna be
we-
there, it's probably gonna be somebody in a little car and accident, fender bender, whatever. We can't even predict the future, but I'm off of that, okay? I'm on to the next one. You guys are okay with it?
But just on that one note, if I may, as a follow-up, Did anyone understand Mr. Jarrett's testimony by that being your problem to perhaps, if not definitely, mean that restricting who can and can't come onto your property is going to be your economic problem and not necessarily a problem vis-à-vis the site itself? Maybe I misunderstood what he meant by that
I thought he meant
statement.
with
but
regard
I thought
to
he meant
traffic
it's going to be
flow
your
and
problem
congestion.
not having tractor trailers there is going to be your problem because you're just going to lose business. Maybe that's
He might
not
have
what
meant
he
both, but I think he meant
I
that.
meant more of a physical problem,
I
not
think you
an
meant a physical
economic problem.
problem with regard to traffic, because that was the question. What if
That's why
somebody
they got
comes
the
in?
You have to
anyway?
ask Mr. Fishinger what Mr. Jarre meant.
And obviously, I wasn't here when my colleague was. Generally speaking, with the concern with these drive-throughs is any congestion we want, if cars are stacked up or waiting on the site, we want them on the site. Yes, it could be an inconvenience to your residents if they're the one happen to also be the patrons of the restaurant. Our primary concern is we want to make sure the public streets, the public roads are safe and kept clear. And for that is why we want to make sure there's enough room for cars to queue up on site so that they're not affecting the drivers. Now, if you're pulling in and you see there's a long line or it's difficult to get in and out of the site, then you're less likely to go there. You may say, well, I kind of wanted Wendy's, but I'll go down to a different restaurant because it doesn't look like you can queue in early. That's, I think, what he means by their problem,
If I
is
may,
it's less likely
I think
for
what
business.
he was talking about was more, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think he was talking about, the question was, what if someone misses the no trailer sign and creates a parking issue or a problem in the parking lot? And it's hard to untangle that, because someone's stuck with a trailer in there, and that causes backup, which could back up to the public streets, by the way. That was what, I think that was the context of that's Wendy's problem. I think that's what the issue was.
Yeah, but this,
If somebody ignores a sign or doesn't see one.
exact, well, that's a problem with any.
Yes, that's a
you
problem
know,
anywhere.
But this particular site has the largest queue-in for drive-through that I've ever seen. I mean, it's basically wraps around the entire building, so, you know, they'd have to have like 20 cars in there before it got backed up, but it's actually the longest drive-through I've seen. But any other questions for?
Yeah, I have more.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you for going through all of that, everybody. The next question is about the zone itself. So you last week or 2 weeks ago, you talked to a lot about our master plan, and you talked a lot about Taco Bell, and you talked a lot about other things. And I just wanted to ask you if you walked through our zoning changes and all of the updates for a long period of time, or did you start with the most recent 2023 master plan? Because that's what you were referencing, I think.
I tried to scrub all of it, and I tried to give the board what I thought was pertinent.
Because in 2020, I'm sorry, excuse me, 2007, there was something called Future Search, and it was the Valley Road 2020, was what Valley Road should look like in the future. So now we're in 25, so it's, you know, quite a distance later. There have been about 5 different studies on Valley Road, from an environmental one called the ANJAC grant study, the Valley Road, like I said before, Future Search, 200 residents, the governing body, the planning board, the zoning board, members from different things decided what they want Valley Road to look like in the future. We also had, like I said, the ANJAC grant, which is an environmental study. We had some Rutgers students analyze Valley Road. We had our planning board do it a few times. So it's been updated. This is not like a stale zone. Like this, and just recently we implemented the overlay zone. Each one of those studies analyzed the use of drive-through restaurants. It was discussed. The residents had input, the governing body had input, the zone was updated, the ordinances were updated many times. Each time, this use was excluded from that zone as a prohibited use.
Mr. Mayor, I think you're mistaken there.
Correct me.
On page 4-40 of the November 2023 master plan, and we had some conversations back and forth, it does say that restaurants with drive-through windows with supplemental design regulations should be permitted in the BD. So in the most recent,
It says should, are you reading that exactly verbatim there?
should be permitted.
Yeah, Jerry, besides that,
We were just back and forth on this today.
And Mr. Chair, if it helps, I gave the board a number of
Yeah.
master plan snippets about emerging trends.
right,
We did talk about that, and that was, you didn't mention that one. by the
This
way.
one is
I'm
a,
gonna look at that, but, the ones that, go back to what I was talking about, there's been lots of rezonings, right? Each time, this was excluded, so it's not part of our zone right now. It's not a permitted use, that's why you're here.
yeah. Jerry, I understand what you're saying, but the fact is, though, that to go back to 2007 is really
Okay.
not
if-
fair.
I'm not going, I am starting there.
I know.
But it goes to 2007, 2009, 2012.
No, I understand that.
2015, 2019, it goes right along.
I understand
All
that.
of those were
But that's the
opportunities
whole-
to change the zone, is what I'm saying.
That's the whole reason for the variance.
I
And,
understand.
and things change.
I'm not debating
yeah.
this with you. I'm asking a question of their professional, actually.
But what are you asking?
I'm asking, let me finish my question.
Okay.
Okay? So, given what I've said, there's been lots of opportunity for the township, the planning board and the zoning board to update the zoning, the actual zone here and make this a permitted use, and they haven't. I just want to know how you say that that doesn't impair our zone, our ordinance. Because you can't do that with the negative criteria, right? You can't have a negative impact on our zone. But considering that it's been analyzed so many times and discussed so many times and not changed, maybe that language is in the master plan, but it didn't make it to our zone, and it had plenty of opportunity to.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, with Mr. Arono's permission as well, and I know both our planners, our planner and Mr. McDonough will probably know this, I'm sure. I think it's specific to the Medici enhanced standard of proof on the negative criteria, the second prong, the reconciliation is, in my opinion, exactly what you're asking. How do you reconcile the fact that it hasn't at least made its way into the master plan yet as a permitted use? That's part of the D1 use criteria required of any D1 use applicant. Specifically, it goes to the second prong of the negative criteria, in my opinion. It's a legal opinion, not a planning opinion.
Well, we
So
need both.
I think you nailed it as a question, and that's certainly part of the burden of proof.
But I'd like to hear his response.
Applicant, that's what I'm saying, it's part of
Yeah.
their burden, it's actually part of their burden of proof.
Right.
I'll echo, you nailed it, Mr.
I didn't nail
Aronio?
you, I'm just
Is that what,
asking-
in terms of the question, now I have to nail it in terms of the answer.
Now, that's for the board to decide.
And I think what you just asked goes to the heart of the reconciliation of the omission of the use from, that's what the Medici case is all about. We've got master plan after master plan after master plan that looks at this site, and then we've got a 2023 master plan, which is fresh, it's the latest look. And I'll read you what it says. These are your words, or your planning board's words, not mine. This is section 4.5.9.4. Recommendations for permitted uses in commercial zones. It goes through a whole list of things, and it says permit uses that are currently prohibited, gives you a string of those, and at the end it says drive-up windows for restaurants, retailers, banks, and pharmacies with supplemental regulations in the BD zone and the PSO and PVO overlay zones. So there's a direct recommendation that comes on the heels of all of those trends.
Supplemental regulations too, right?
They-
So
and-
there's a constraint on that. It's
So
not
the
just
other way the
blanket
board
approval.
can deal with the reconciliation of the omission of the use, it's a good point. Why hasn't the governing body changed the zoning yet? It's 2023. The zoning has
Like I
not,
said, they've
this is not,
extended it so many times, and so many times it was turned down. It came
I'm trying to
the-
answer.
Okay,
Let him
go
answer.
ahead. Okay, go ahead.
So you went through a series
I'm
of,
asking a question, I'm sorry.
the most recent was in 2023. I'll have to look at exactly what the month was that it was adopted. November, that's what I thought. So we're barely a year past when that recommendation, that master plan was adopted. It takes time for zoning to catch up with master plan recommendations. Again, 2023, there's a recommendation. That master plan is 190 pages. It has a lot of recommendations in it, a lot of things for a governing body to chew on. So I don't know what the governing body is doing with this, but they could be weighing it. I'm not sure.
Thank you
But
for that answer.
it's
I have
fresh.
one more question, and then I'll leave you alone. The last question is about all of the studies, going back to the future search, sorry, Ed, I'm going back to there, that's where it came, 200 residents. A lot of people said we want to see a different look on Valley Road. We don't want to have a county road that's a highway, right? We want to have a walkable, scalable, human scalable downtown.
Good.
That's what we want, and this is what we call our emerging downtown, our emerging town center. And what they want to see is pedestrian traffic, right? We want to see walkable zones. We don't want to see driving zones, right? So.
Can we get to the
In
question?
other words, drive and park, and then walk to different places. Whether we agree with that or not, they want to attract pedestrians to that area and have people sit and play and work and do everything in that area, right? We want an active downtown. I look at a drive-through restaurant in the very center of that as a conflict with pedestrian traffic. Vehicles and pedestrians don't always agree. So that's also in our master plan. That's also in all of these studies. Just talk about that if you will. Tell me how you can rationalize that.
Kudos to community good planning in the first place. This is a walkable area. There's sidewalks, there's connectivity. Also cooked into the design, we have crosswalks to create safe zones for pedestrians. So I think the applicant, through its design, the community, through good planning, has mitigated the impact of conflicts of vehicles and pedestrians here. I don't think there's anything about this design and the retention of a building that's been a longstanding and important part of your community at a visually prominent corner forecloses the ability to accommodate the pedestrian.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jerry. Any other questions?
Yeah, do the signs help it be productive from a planning standpoint?
Did the signs help it be, I'm sorry?
From a planning standpoint, do the signs help the site be productive and give you everything that you want?
I think we've landed at a good spot. As I understand it, we've got, I'm looking again at Exhibit A4, and the two top elevations, we've retained the logo and the word mark. In the middle elevation, we've retained the logo as well, and the signs that you saw in the lower elevations are gone. So I think we've landed at a good spot in terms of balancing clear and safe site identification and context-sensitive design.
Chairman, can I ask a follow-up?
Sure. You're free to, yes, of course.
Appreciate the question. But we have a developed site here already.
We do.
It's sort of a
Adaptive
reuse. So does that impact how you do the reconciliation at all?
It does. It goes back to site suitability as well. Obviously, adaptive reuse is the least impactful of all types of land development than wholesale new construction, and there are always impacts associated with that as well. So the original resolution found that this building was desirable at this location. The applicant's working with that which is there. So that goes towards site suitability as well.
Any questions for the public of their planner?
Want to do a handoff back and forth?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Charles Renowitz, Millington. We're citing Section 4 of the master plan. I'd like it to take it a few steps further and take it down to, let's see, get you the exact area.
Just for clarification, Mr. Aronowitz, this is the same 2023 master plan?
Yes, it is.
Thank you for
That's
that
Section
clarification,
4.
Mr. Aronowitz.
No problem. It says on page 4-23, establish a downtown epicenter between Poplar and Plainfield. This location fits into that range. This area should be developed into a desirable place to visit, encourage visitors to park and walk by. So I guess my question is, if I read further down from where you were pointing out about the drive-up windows, could you explain to me how this proposed variance for drive-up, where 60% of your business is going to be drive-up or pick-up, how is that going to promote park and walk by?
I'm not sure I understand the question. How's that going to promote park and walk by?
Yes.
Again, that will by adaptively reusing a building that is presently empty in the community, will reactivate the site and bring people to the area, which will introduce people to other businesses in the area as well. So it encourages reactivity and it encourages revitalization.
But if 60% of your patrons are in the car, how are they going to get out? They're in the drive-up.
Where did you get that number, 60%? Is that?
They said at the last meeting.
Okay. I'm just clarifying that.
Good.
It brings people to the community. It brings people to this site. If they can't park here, they can park somewhere else and get out and walk. It introduces people to the businesses in the area.
You have vibrancy instead of a vacant bank building.
Certainly, the building in its current condition is not inviting people to walk by.
And your site currently is accessible and has sidewalks, correct?
It does.
Okay.
It's interesting to note, 2 weeks ago, you quoted and referenced page 3.6 of the 2023 November Master Plan, and you referenced section 3-7. You talked about trends. However, you left off the last line. I was just wondering if you'd comment on that. It says, quote, Long Hill does not currently permit drive-through windows for restaurants, although some exist in town, but permit drive-through windows for pharmacies and banks in certain zones. So I guess my question is, with that stated, and I understand what you said about 4.3 or 4.5, why wouldn't they say that we're going to change that? The driver.
The planning board did accept the recommendations, sir, when they passed the November.
Right, exactly.
They said restaurants with drive-throughs with supplemental design regulations should be permitted
Yeah.
in the BD zone. We're arguing that this is a recognition after a long period of time.
Right.
In the master plan adopted by the planning board, that this is a recognition that it's time for a change. That's part of our reconciliation. We're putting forth for the board's consideration that there is, in the November 2023, a recent document after the 20 years. We understand there's competing arguments about what you have. One of the recommendations here is sense that restaurants and drive-through windows should be permitted. Because there's an issue, as it's talked about in other places, there's an issue with these banks, they're all closing, not that many are open. What do you do with them?
He's saying that specific line doesn't say this is just recognizing the current condition.
Right.
And then the recommendations come on a different section. That's the answer.
Right, the way I read it, what this gentleman just read was a factual statement.
Right.
It was a truism. You don't allow for drive-through food uses
Correct.
now. Then later, flipping through the pages, you have a recommendation that you should have food uses in these buildings that could use help. They're good buildings that could use help.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chuck. Any other questions by, I see another person coming up. Please identify yourself.
Mike Smarjassi, Millington. So what we were just talking about, it says with supplemental design regulations. So what are those for the site?
I don't think they were recommended in the master plan. I think that's part of the.
So you won't have any supplemental design regulations for the site?
When the ordinances are adopted, I think they would.
I think that's what we're doing now. If we give them a variance, we're giving them design guidance.
We have a developed site here, and we've gone through fully the site plan process, so we're endeavoring to keep the same.
So
architecture.
we're making up the ordinance as we go along? All right. I'm just asking a question.
No. That, our board doesn't make up ordinances. Our board
I understand. I was a little sarcasm.
And
I
just to
guess.
clarify, if I may, yeah, and the process, of course, is like a judiciary, if you will. The legislation is the legislation. The judiciary, particularly with respect to the MLUL and the land use process in the state of New Jersey, is that this is the board of exceptions. So with conditions, if the applicant meets their burden of proof, they can make those exceptions. No legislation from the bench, as they say. It's not legislating from the bench, but it is permitting exceptions, which is part of the process.
Okay, and then I had one other question on the site. Are you aware of any other Wendy's that just have a single entrance?
What do you mean by single entrance?
A single point of in and out egress.
Oh, you mean drive entrance?
Correct. So
I'm sorry, just to clarify, did you say any
that-
use or specific type of use? I didn't hear.
no, like in and out. So how a driver would get in and out, a single point. So
Yeah, but you said, are you aware of?
any of them.
Wendy's.
Oh, any Wendy's?
Wendy's.
I'm sorry, I just didn't hear
Yeah, yeah.
Wendy's. I thought I said use. Okay.
So
Any other Wendy's?
Yeah, I mean, I have not done an analysis of that, but I can tell you I drive past the Wendy's on Route 10 in Randolph every day. It's one in, one out.
is that located on a one-way highway street?
It's on Route 10.
Right. So
Between Center Grove and Millbrook.
so traffic on Route 10 goes east and west, and it's at least 4 lanes, right?
Yeah, it's a median section.
Right.
of
So
Route 10.
I don't think that has any bearing on Valley Road. So I'll just get to my point. I guess I spent the last 20 minutes on Google Maps and I found one on Route
Before you
10.
testify any further, if I can allow my board to abide by the
Sure.
law that
Yeah.
governs it.
Questions is one thing, comments are another.
I can swear you in, or you can make the comments.
My question is do you have any that are on a local street,
Two-way street with no.
local
barrier.
two-way street where we're allowing both a left and a right-hand turn with single point of access onto the property that you're aware of?
Well, wait, sir,
I
sir.
can't
same-
answer it.
Same thing.
I don't need coaching.
Law applies to everybody equally. The question is of your planner, at least for now. If someone else could speak to it later.
Let me put it this way, if the planner's not the best person, we can have someone else, because the question was directed toward the applicant in general. So, I mean, if you feel that someone else in your team could answer it better, fine. If you can, fine too.
All I want to clarify is number one, this is not a user variance. This is not Wendy's. This is a quick serve restaurant with a drive-through.
Right.
There's
The
examples
law
all over the
requires
place.
that we not zone by user or occupant, but only by use. Please continue.
So your consideration should not be unique to Wendy's and whether there's 20 Wendy's that do or don't. There's examples of fast food restaurants throughout New Jersey that are on two-way roads that have one-way in.
Are there any fast food restaurants in our town that have a single point of egress?
I don't know.
All right, thanks.
Any other public? Is there any other public? I don't see any. I don't believe so. All right, I'm going to close it to the public for questions. Have any other witnesses? No. Okay. Do we have any follow-up questions by our experts that maybe was not answered?
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure. What? Yeah. Do we have, now we're going to go open it up for public comment, which means you have to be sworn in. Please keep it short. It's getting late. Yeah, if you make a comment, you have to be sworn in. Anybody wants to make a comment? Okay,
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to God or affirm?
it's right there.
Back there again.
Yeah. We apologize for the mic situation.
That's all right.
Fiscally prudent. Do you swear to God or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Please
All right.
proceed.
I don't know if I'm
Name and
giving,
address for the
if
record.
I given testimony. Mike Smargiassi, Millington.
Can you spell the last name, please?
SMARGIASSI.
Now, when you make comments,
So-
it's considered sworn.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just so you know, the benefit of it is, not only is it a rule, but just like the applicants who are sworn in when they testify, your testimony is of no lesser value. That's why you are sworn in, and you provide not just comment, but sworn testimony as a fact witness.
Okay, I did listen to the last meeting, the webcast, so I've been fully present, although not physically present. In regards to the signs on Valley Road, I'd like to thank the applicant for making changes to the sign that's actually physically on Valley Road and making conforming with the neighbors. Walgreens, Uncommon Thread, which is a nonprofit, and your competition, Taco Bell. The signs on every side of the building, there was given testimony here about high traffic areas, people driving through and you'd be able to see the building. We're not on an Exodus 78. It's not Long Hill. The traffic that comes through Long Hill is going to know that there's a Wendy's here. They're going to come here because they know. It's not a transient town. So in a transient environment, I can understand the argument and the point that was made for signs on every side of the building and as many as you can get. That's not the case here, and I hope the board would consider that and consider how our ordinances are drafted and why they're drafted that way, because we're not that type of town. In regards to the drive-through, which is the probably elephant in the room, I guess, right? I realized it was a bank before, but that wasn't allowed use. And to be frank, it was a much less intense drive-through use. This is a different and unique application. The use is not similar to the bank. In fact, the drive-through is the majority of the business. 60%, I believe it was less than 20% dine-in. I think it was 17 or something somebody mentioned. So, the township has specifically called out the permitted accessory uses and done so in various zones throughout the town. The drive-up windows for banks and pharmacies are granted. And it specifically says no to other drive-up types. That didn't just happen by chance. There's a lot of time and thought that went into that process to get there. And I realized that the most recent, as it was noted, the most recent master plan does talk to or speak to potentially allowing it, but with supplemental regulations, which have not been defined yet. Okay? This is not an extra foot of height on the backside of a building due to a steep slope or an extra percentage point on lot coverage. All right? It's a significant and substantial deviation from the ordinance as it stands today. The drive-through use is significant and intensive on the site, per the testimony that the applicant gave. The master plan and zoning ordinances combined bring some order to the town. It helps define what the town looks and feels like. Lot coverage, ordinances, uses, all play into that. Valley Road is in a period of transition, as we, I think, can all attest to. Valley Road needs more help. It's going to take years for it to attain its potential. The fact that we have 2 fast food restaurants today in the town is irrelevant, in my opinion, and should be irrelevant to the board, as this is a unique application. I believe that when the application is looked at as a whole, it does create a detriment to the master plan and the ordinances that are guiding towards the look and feel. It substantially erodes the master plan, erodes what the master plan envisions for the town and the vision for the community. I don't believe the lot is uniquely suited. It's significantly challenged with a single entrance. In fact, no other fast food establishment in town has a single point of egress in and out to the property. It's a challenge site for a drive-through, and a drive-through that has significant intensity, in my opinion. And because of the detriment that it would cause, I would deny the D1 use variance for the drive-through and ask that you please uphold and support the ordinances that we have in place today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to make a comment?
Charles Renowitz, Millington.
Mr. Aronowitz, I may have previously sworn you, but...
No, you did not.
Good, but regardless, I was going to say, if you don't mind, I'll do it again.
Go ahead.
Do you swear to God or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Ronowitz.
Signage on this application is 3 times what's permitted. Right now, drive-ups are not permitted unless you're a bank or pharmacy. Walkability has been in the master plan at least 30 years. This location, 60% drive-through pickups, is not promoting walkability. I ask you to enforce the current regulations. I'll make one comment that is surprising to me. I looked up, it's by GWT Energy Consulting Services. Here's what the research indicates. Water is necessary for virtually every phase of a restaurant's operation. While there are huge disparities according to size, the average sit-down restaurant uses around 3,000 to 7,000 gallons of water daily. Quick service restaurants, fast foods, use about 1/3 of this. I'll do the math for you. That means fast food's 1,000 to 2,333 gallons daily. This applicant worked with our sewer provider, New Jersey American Water. We're under a sewer ban, and this applicant says we're going to use 600 gallons a day. Isn't it ironic that if you're under a sewer ban, you get a projected flow of 600 gallons per day or less, and you get approved? I realize that you can't determine or judge that. But just think about the ironic situation here, what the volume is, what they're contending. Where is the integrity and honesty of this application? I'm astounded. Astounded is the word. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close it to the public. Okay. Yeah. I know. What?
I didn't hear what you were saying.
I didn't say anything yet.
Oh, I thought you were
No. Would you like to sum up?
Briefly, Chairman, first, just to...
Would you grab the mic? Because we want this on the record.
Just a few quick comments. I think the board
Yeah.
is fully aware of what's proposing, and I'll call out a few salient points here. First, this is an adaptive reuse. This is not a brand-new Wendy's with paneling and finishes. We're taking the existing building and reusing it in a reasonable way. We have an applicant here who has worked with the board, I think, who has listened to the board's comments, who has taken them into consideration on the signage, on the traffic circulation, as best it possibly can. We have Mr. Jar's comments. I think they're important to consider. Your own board's experts, not just ours, saying that the site can work reasonably. Perfectly, no, perhaps, but the site could work safely and reasonably, and that's your own expert. And I would ask the board to give that considerable weight as it evaluates this case. I also note the most recent master plan. There has been a long period of study here in Long Hill, and the most recent master plan does recognize the idea of a drive-through window, and I think that's sufficient evidence for the board members here tonight to be able to reconcile, and that's the language from the Medici case. How do we reconcile the fact that the drive-through for a restaurant is not permitted, and the way to do that is through the master plan adopted by the planning board, which recognized that there are changes. So we have a variety of issues, Chairman. We thank you for your time. I think we have an applicant who has engaged in the process in good faith, who has compromised in all aspects, and I believe that the testimony of your own traffic expert has shown that the site can work safely with the conditions that were set forth. Just to talk briefly, Chairman, on the use variance, we need 5 affirmative votes, 5 out of the 7.
Yes.
The signage is a majority vote.
Yes.
So I'm going to leave it to the board to decide how it wants to deliberate. What I am asking is that if there is, I think we have consensus that there's comfort on the signage. I think, but I don't think all members are going to be comfortable. What I don't want to have happen is that a board member votes no on the whole package because of the signage.
I understand.
Where they would vote yes on the use variance and no on the signage. Because the signage ultimately could be worked out. I think you've heard that from my
Yes.
client.
Yes.
I think they believe they have an understanding, but I'm asking you as the chair to do the voting in a way that's appropriate for the board, but I don't want to end up with a situation where I lose a vote on the D variance because somebody is residually unhappy with the signage. if you
I understand
follow.
that. I
Okay,
understand.
we appreciate your time.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we have 1, 2, 3, double check the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 board members. We have 1 alternate member. We have 7 regular board members who will be voting. Our 8th board member is Deb.
Our 8th board is Mr. White.
Right. I just wanted to put that on the record, is our alternate for not voting for these purposes, so you know the 7, everybody understands who the 7 board members who are voting on this application. Bear with me 1 second.
After consulting with my legal attorney, we're going to vote on the drive-through variance first. And then if that's a positive, then we'll just take a majority vote for the number of signs, which is right now four signs that are branded and 1 unbranded sign.
And just for clarification, I would never disclose attorney-client privileged communications. The attorney gave the advice as to what the options were.
Right.
The
Options, yes,
the
options.
chair is making the determination, the board never makes
We
the
appreciate it.
determination.
I think that makes sense, Chairman. We're going to sort of bifurcate, just do the use variance
Yes,
first.
yes.
And then.
A majority
and then
vote on it,
the signage. This
yes.
way, if the signage goes down, we can come back just on the signage.
Now, that said, Mr. Chairman, any vote, whether it's broken up or not broken up, is never a vote on yes or no. It's a vote on yes with all the stipulated 2 conditions, or no.
Right.
Denials are unconditional, I always like to say.
Well, it's all the stipulated conditions minus, I guess, the sign issue.
Well, I think it makes sense to go through all the conditions, since they're
Right.
mitigating conditions in
Okay.
the comprehensive application for development.
Okay.
And then the board can vote the way it wishes to vote. So with that, and with the board's permission.
Yes, go
Before,
through it.
Steve, before you do that,
Yes.
Wait,
extend the
point
time.
of- Point of procedure, we need to extend the meeting.
Okay, all right. Do I hear a motion to extend the meeting for 15 minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're extending to 15 minutes.
The entirety of the relief sought is a preliminary and final major site plan approval, and D1 use variance relief for the drive-through component only associated with the restaurant, whereas drive-throughs are permitted only currently with pharmacies and banks as uses. I'm going to leave out all the bulk variances for the moment, but the conditions, if that's the way the board's voting, which I understand that to be the case first, all the conditions of approval that I have are all the items and all the various reports of the board professionals, as well as exit and entry directional signage, crosswalk across the island, prior to the stop bar, pavement markings, and yield to pedestrian signs. Loading only when the restaurant is closed, which I understand to be between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. And please correct me if I'm wrong, applicant's counsel, if I'm misstating any of the conditions that were stipulated to by the applicant. Septic to be abandoned in place per the health department requirements. Maintain existing systems, including porous pavement pursuant to good engineering practices. We have some removal of the overhead structure and the
No, the columns
the
that hold it
pavement,
up.
excuse me, the brick along the pavement. I guess technically not this overhang, but portion, but the pillars. Additional landscaping between Plainfield Road sidewalk and menu board south of the site triangle to screen illumination of the menu board per, I'm using singular, per or subject to the review and approval of our board engineer. Encourage employee parking nearest to the trash enclosure. A sign that articulated vehicles, i.e. trailers or buses.
Or trucks, or large trucks.
Or large trucks, the verbiage will be sufficient to fit on a modest sign, are prohibited, and that'll be subject to the review and approval of our engineer, both our engineer and our traffic engineer. Crash clearance bar, height will be reduced to 9 feet at the entrance of the driveway, and be
Of the
combined
drive-through,
with
of the
signage.
drive-through.
I'm sorry?
Of the drive-through.
Of
Entrance of the drive-through.
Of the entrance of the drive-through, and in combination with appropriate signage. Bear with me, there were a fair number. Supplemental landscaping to screen, even further supplemental landscaping to screen the menu board view along Plainfield Road with at least 6 foot tall tree line, 6 foot tall at installation, tree line, and if possible, otherwise filtering of the visibility of those menu boards since they are a TV screen, like. We've lost, so to speak, eliminated one of the menu boards. The directional signs will not have logos on them, but the color is appropriate. The recognized color is appropriate. The monument sign will be downlit. The wall signage, I believe, was ultimately agreed to be downlit as well. And we're removing the brick base and getting to the columns, if you will.
And the cement.
Yep, I'm gonna get there. And adding bollards, still keeping the 6-inch curb, and we're shrinking the median such that is expected to be an approximate 8 to 12-inch additional width on either side thereof. And the rest was planning, not to say that there can't be conditions stipulated to during the planner's testimony, but as is often the case, I don't believe there was any more. So I think those are all the stipulated to conditions. Did I forget any? No? No, if everybody's in agreement, that is what the board is voting on first. I've saved the 4 variances all related to signage and the 1 exception that related to illumination. You probably remembered it, but that's, I understand it, going to be for a second vote. So you have all the relief sought for this vote, as well as all the conditions associated therewith, which are part of your consideration. And as counsel for the applicant stated, 5 out of 7 for passage on the D1 use variance component of this application for development.
Okay. Tom, would you start the deliberation, please?
Absolutely. First, I'd like to thank everybody. This was a long and arduous process, and I think we've gotten to a place where everybody knows where they think they are. Currently, we have a building that's not being used. It's in the middle of our downtown business district, one of our two downtowns. It currently has a drive-through, and we're looking for a variance for that drive-through for a different different type of business, a quick food business. I'm glad that people have read the master plan and see that it is looking towards the future and not towards the past. Its future is looking for a more vibrant downtown. We do want more foot traffic. I do not think that putting a Wendy's on this corner is going to in any way take away from foot traffic that exists in town, and may, just by its inherent use of being a place to go to for more people than just banking, may actually increase foot traffic in this part or other parts very near to there, where there are some competition. I don't want to speak to the competition, I want to speak to the use. I'm very glad that the bollards are going to be corrected. I drove through this property the other day, and myself with my own car, with nobody else there, and I was a little nervous about how tight that was. And I think making the pillars or piers smaller will make driving through that area easier. I know we're not talking about signage, but just looking at this property as it is, as it exists today and towards the future, I think there's been some great work done by this board and also by the applicant, and I thank you. And I will be in favor of approving this drive-through.
Thank you. Jerry?
Again, I'll thank everybody. I'll try not to be redundant, but thank everybody for accommodating the board and all of the wishes that we had, and our professionals' comments for addressing all of those. I appreciate that. And thank you for bearing with us on, or me in particular, on the in-depth questions I had regarding the zoning and the use. I would like to be in favor of this, however, I cannot. I'll get past the zone. At first, I thought it was definitely impairing an impairment to our zone. I still might believe that a little bit, but even if I get past that, I cannot get past that this is not particularly well suited for the use. Given that place on the corner, with the constraints, even with the signs, I don't believe that I'm disagreeing with any engineer or professional or traffic study. I just think that what I've heard is that, from the number of signs that we need and the radius of the turns, even though we're correcting that, and I think the tightness of that, the way the box truck has to park in one spot, I mean, what if the guy's new? All of this stuff, to me, it's just, it's not a particularly well-suited spot. I'm gonna go with that. And then also, we are trying to make that a more pedestrian-friendly area. Whether you agree with that or not, I think that attracting more drive-through restaurants to an area that we're trying to have a walkable downtown is an inherent conflict, and I can't get past that. So for that reason, I'm not going to be in favor of this application.
Jonathan?
So I think that we all know this is a current situation with this building is not a productive building. And again, thank everybody for all their hard work in trying to get this to be up to a place where we can be approved of this. I think that I don't necessarily agree with some of the other comments that were made so far tonight. I think that this actually does meet the, it's suited for this place. I think I understand that we can't sit up here and debate what the master plan, the suitability of the master plan, but I feel our whole discussion about making this more walkable, I think we have to go back and say, what do we have here? I've lived in towns where there were walkable areas. We have one area of this town which is much more walkable. This is a main corridor. This, unfortunately, with the situation we're in right now, is we have a lot of vacant buildings in this corridor. I don't think this is going to be a detriment to the master plan or to the zone. I think I don't know that it's necessarily going to greatly increase walkability, but I don't think that any building, we could put an ice cream parlor in this building, and I don't think it would increase walkability. I think it's just the nature of the area and where we are right now. You have sidewalks I just actually literally walked there today because I had to, and this whole town is not walkable. It's just by definition of what this is, that's not. I don't know that this will improve walkability, it might, as their planner said, bring more people to the area. I don't know that they're going to walk too many places, but I still don't think that what the proposed use of this is a detriment. I think they've proven the negative criteria on that, and then the positive as well. So I will be in support of this application for the D1 variance.
Thank you, Tom. Randy?
Yeah, usually I'll try to make a glib comment and be funny, but out of respect for everyone's time and concerns everyone expressed, the presentations and stuff, I'll refrain. I'm going to vote in favor of it. I was hoping that the drive-through overhang could be eliminated. I didn't appreciate, though, the fan and the crazy stuff on top. So I understand that is a bigger issue. I didn't understand why it couldn't have been removed until these pictures, so that really helped visualize that for myself. I really do appreciate the applicant willing to minimize it, get those bricks on the bottom. I think that's going to solve a lot of the problems, which again, I thought as it exists now probably isn't doable, so I appreciate all that. I agree that, I don't know how, well, whatever. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to vote in favor, and but I do thank everyone. I thank the public and especially the applicant's time.
Thank you. Gary?
So I know that we're voting on just the drive-through. I don't understand the separation as opposed to voting for this whole thing at once, but I do know that if it didn't have a drive-through, there wouldn't be a drive-through sign, which is one of the things we'll talk about next. And rather than go on too much longer, because we're going to have to extend it again, I agree with what most of my colleagues have said here, and I'd be in favor of this drive-through part of this application.
Thank you. Alex, I'm
Hey,
sorry.
Ed.
Alex, sorry.
What are you doing?
Sorry, Alex, I'm sorry. I started and jumped back and forth, I'm sorry.
Concur with all the comments that have been made by all the board members, and appreciate the input from the applicant as well as the public. One thing I do want to comment about is the walkability. We're sitting in the parking lot where walkability would be starting from in this town. There really isn't a public parking lot here, but this is it. And this actually extends that walkability, I think, because when I drive by it in matter of course of the day, I'll see people walking along and make that turn into Burger King, or walk and make that turn into this proposed location as well. So I see a viable business coming into a location that currently has nothing, and that's important to the prosperity of our town. And I'll be voting in support of the application.
Thank you, Alex. Sorry. I also agree with the majority of my board. I think that the applicant has been very flexible on this. I do appreciate every time we made up a comment, they accommodated us. I do appreciate them making the drive-through bigger by narrowing or widening the blacktop area and narrowing the column area, because I think that was a issue there, and I think that would cause a problem in the future for you. And I do appreciate the fact that they are working with an existing building and not putting up something that looks like a traditional Wendy's, if there is such a thing. And I do appreciate the comments from the public. We always listen to the public, but we have to take everything that has been said to us by the applicant, everything that has been testified to by our experts, as well as the traffic expert. We have to take that into consideration, and we have to work around that and decide whether this site is a negative or a positive. And I think they've met the negative criteria. I think the positive criteria is that it will be rejuvenating a building and an area that has been vacant. I think that whether it's a Wendy's or some other business that needs a drive-through, I don't think the drive-through is a detriment. I think that it's not going to impair the walkability. There's other towns that have drive-throughs with sidewalks that people walk on. I think until we get a complete sidewalk from one end of Main Street to all the way down to past Plainfield, I don't think it's going to be that walkable to begin with. So you know, I think the walkability lies in other areas sometimes that we have to look at, and that's yet to be determined by this board or by whatever board determines it. But I would be in favor of it, so, in that respect. I think the,
Roll call vote,
yeah.
I believe, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, on the
do I?
initial relief.
Is there a
Yeah.
motion? Do we need
Yes,
to do a
yes.
motion?
Do I hear?
No, motion,
Yes,
second,
of
roll
course.
call vote.
Do I hear a motion to approve this application with the D variance for the drive-through?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mr. Aronio?
No.
Mr. Giannakis?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Zadrozny?
Yes.
Chairman Correct?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Now we have the issue of the signs, which is a majority vote.
We have to extend the meeting again?
Yeah, let's extend it for another 10 minutes. Now, let's do it till 11. Do I hear a motion to 11?
Got a resolution to do, right?
So
Yeah.
moved.
Well, we might put off those
Second.
resolutions.
We have a second.
Second.
All in
Okay,
favor?
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Real quick, the variances at issue again are number of wall signs, 4 versus 1 permitted, max permitted. Area of, that was number of wall signs. Area of wall signs, gotta follow my scribble, 75.11 versus square feet versus 25 square feet. Number of ground signs, 2 versus technically none permitted, I guess.
No, they're permitted ground sign, right?
Well,
No?
that's what I'm reading from the ordinance.
No, they're permitted, but it's a relationship between how big their
Oh,
walls.
under the circumstances.
Yes,
Yeah, right,
yes,
right,
yes,
Right,
yeah.
under the circumstance, right, so 2 versus none under the circumstance.
Right.
And area of ground signs, 53.57 square feet versus, I had one professional tell us 0, with the other say 16 square feet, but either way, 53.57 square feet is substantial, excuse me, no judgment, is greater than either 0 or 16 square feet. So those
And
are
all
the 4
and all
variances.
signs to be
and then-
downlit.
And then, yeah, well, that was a condition, yes, but not a variance. And the design, excuse me, the exception is for the average illumination exceeding the maximum permitted. Those are the 5 additional items of relief that you're now voting on, all of which require only a majority for passage, not 4 out of 7 when I do the hard math.
Does everybody understand what the conditions that you
I
just
do
said?
not. I have a question on the average illumination exceeding the maximum permitted. Can someone explain that? Maybe Joe, can you handle that?
So that would be the lighting in the parking lot.
Okay.
The stipulations were that the intent of the application was to retrofit the lighting to replace bulbs
I remember
to the
us
existing,
discussing
yeah,
that.
to the
Thank you. I
existing
remember that
approval.
now.
Very
Thank
nice.
you for that.
Yeah, okay. All right, Alex, I'm gonna let you start this one.
In thinking about the signage that was proposed, I was happy to see the flexibility from the applicant in reducing based upon our comments. So, as I mentioned before, I'm going to make it short and sweet in consideration of time. I would vote to approve it.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Again, with this one, I'm not gonna change any position on this. I mean, they've got the use. I would like to see our ordinance upheld here. I'd like to see 1 sign as permitted, and I'd like to see you conform to it. I think that's a nice trend to set for our town in the future of Valley Road. So if we're going to have this type of development, I think we should, maybe not do what everybody else does and have all kinds of like neon signs and backlit signs. You just go with some kind of like downlit wooden sign, and leave it at that.
Okay. Jonathan?
I think the applicant has listened to concerns, a lot of the concerns regarding the signs. I think that this is because of the positioning of this building on the corner of 2, it's not similar to other, unnamed restaurants that we have here, where they have multiple facing sides and obviously as a business, they want their business to be recognizable, and this building is you know, they've gone out of their way to keep the existing building. They could have tried to, you know, knock it down and build a brand-new building that was more recognizable. I think because of that, the need for additional, they've shown that there isn't a need for additional signage to make this a more recognizable, you know, not just look at it and think it's a bank. So I would be in support of the I guess the
Proposed signage.
proposed signage as we've listed.
Thank you.
And just to be clear, all relief, including the average illumination exceedance.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that too.
Tom?
I concur with Mr. Rosenberg, and I will say that I look at the signage, and I'm very thankful that you are cleaning up some of the initial intent. I do not see how it's going to be, the signage will be detrimental to life in this town. You're going to have 3 sides with the sign up in the apex and one freestanding sign. I think it's probably going to help people find your location rather than try and scout it out. So in that effect, I'm in favor of it.
Gary?
I disagree with most of my colleagues here with regards to the signs, and I'm not in favor with the variance that is being proposed for them.
It's not a variance, it's a design variance, right?
Well,
You're
no,
right.
technically.
It is a variance?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, 4
it is.
bulk
Right.
variances, one exception. I'm not gonna
Right,
say
okay.
design waiver ever
Sorry.
again in front of
Okay.
Joe.
All right, sorry. Okay, Randy?
Thank Chuck McGroarty for that.
I'm in favor of all the design variances and the signs. My biggest issue was the inner illuminated monument sign on Valley. Y'all took care of that, I think, at the last meeting. So I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, I also appreciate the applicant scaling down the signs, and I understand that is somewhat of a compromise, and I don't feel it's going to affect your marketability on that corner. I think you have more visibility than most of the restaurants in town. So I believe the 3 peak ones plus the message board, that's considered a sign, and your freestanding monument sign is even though it's beyond our ordinance, I believe it's reasonable and would enhance the suitability of the building. So I would be in favor of it. So do I have a motion to approve the signs as proposed?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
And just for clarification, this is all additional relief, 4
Yes.
sign variances and the
Yeah.
one exception for the illumination exceedance.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Zudrowsky?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mr. Aronio?
No.
Mr. Giannakis?
No.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes?
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Chairman Correct?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you for your time, members
Thank
of the board.
you.
We really appreciate it.
We do have 6 minutes. You want to do the resolutions, guys?
Let's do them real quick.
Let's do them.
Right, hold those people
Yeah,
up.
right, hold those people up. Okay. We only got 2 of them, right? 2 of them, am I correct?
Two of 'em.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alec.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
all right.
everyone.
Just stretch them.
Yeah.
So we have Boylan, the board will remember, that
Right.
was a bulk variance for lot coverage ratio exceedance for an existing deck. Hopefully it accurately memorializes the board's decision to approve that application. Bear with me, I thought it was unanimous. He usually puts, yeah, there we go, unanimously. 7-0 with the conditions stipulated.
Okay.
I'll move application number 2424Z.
Okay.
Resolution to approve the
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Bear
Oh,
with me,
I'm sorry.
Deb?
Yep.
Our motion, Mr. Ronio, and second by Vice
Yep.
Chair Grosskopf.
Yeah, so we
They
need a
were-
roll call.
They're qualified, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
The
please
only
roll
one,
call.
the only one that isn't is Mr.
The only one
Giannakis.
that is not in this is
Oh, okay.
Mr. Giannakis. Okay. All right, so the motion was by Mr. Aronio. Mr. Aronio?
Yes.
And Vice Chairman Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Zadrozny?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Chairman
Hey,
Correct?
Yes.
Deb, just want to make sure, though, everybody else did vote on it? They were part of the
Yes.
7?
Yes,
Okay, who are
yes.
here tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm sorry, please, you're done?
What's that?
Did you finish?
yeah,
Okay, great.
yes. The next one,
I'm not eligible for, so I'm not.
Okay.
yeah, the next one is Ronald Rodriguez, 441 Chestnut Street. I am not eligible, but I can preside over the vote.
No, on this one, it's Chairman, Vice Chairman Grosskopf,
Yeah,
Mr. Rosenberg, Mr. Watts, Mr. Zadrozny, and Mr. White.
All right.
The vice chair will call for the motion, the second, and the roll call vote.
Can I get a motion?
So
I'll
moved.
I'll move that.
All right, I'll second.
Okay. And roll call vote, please?
Mr. Zadrozny,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Watts,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Grosskopf.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, guys. Now we got them.
Motion to adjourn.
Close the meeting.
So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Everyone in favor?
Yeah.
Adjourn.
Get me out of here.